Chapter 76. I threw the vines down, but there was no movement for a long time. What are the blue orcs doing below? It's been quite a while since I threw down the vines, but there's still no movement. Didn't he just die as soon as he came? This is not possible. I haven't even been a guest in your tribe yet. How can I fail? August stretched out his dragon head and probed into the crack. Sha. Some gravel fell. Seeing the gravel, the old priest subconsciously raised his head and looked overhead. What caught the eye was a huge red head. The majestic red vertical pupils seemed to be burning with flames, exuding a faint red glow in the dark cracks. Not the blue flying monster, but the largest red one. The dragon's head probed into the crack. Augustus saw the blue orcs huddled together, not hanging up, and the old priest also stood up and was looking at him. Not hanging up. Seeing these blue orcs not hanging up, Augustus stretched out his paw and touched the vines lightly. Russell, look at the vines swinging in front of you to the left and right. Does it want me to go up? Looking at the vines swinging back and forth, Anuka's eyes flashed with confusion. He didn't want to die if he could live. Now, it seems that this red flying monster has no intention of killing them directly. In this case, it means that he still has a chance, as long as he can make this flying monster accept faith. The old priest stretched out his hands and grabbed the vine in front of him. Although he was very weak now, there would be no problem for him if he just climbed up. Seeing the old priest starting to climb up, Augustus took back the dragon's head. The old priest didn't let him wait long and climbed up in about 2 minutes. The moment he climbed up, the old priest felt the gazes of the two flying monsters. He lowered his head silently and knelt on the ground with his knees weak. Although the old priest behaved very honestly, Augustus had long known the nature of this old thing through time revelation. TSK, that disgusting old guy with a double face, a hint of disgust hidden in his red vertical pupils. If the old priest wasn't still useful, he would have slapped it down with his paw. Time inspires me to leave you alone. The old priest in front of you has a weakness. His bloodline is a blue orc who stayed in the tribe. His name is Amon. If you catch him, you can learn everything you want to know from the old priest. Threat? Well, it fits my style as a 5-color dragon. There was a slight crack in the dragon's kiss, and August turned the dragon's head to look at Angia beside him. Let me establish communication with him. The blue dragon head moved slightly up and down twice, and then the purple magic power appeared in front of Angia's dragon head. The magic threads formed a mysterious and exquisite casting ring. A purple magical thread stretched out from the spell, and the thread extended to August. Catch it. After hearing what Angia said, Augustus stretched out his claws to grasp the purple magic thread in front of him without any hesitation. The other end of the purple magic thread extended to the old priest kneeling on the ground. Notice the magic thread in front of me that was emitting a faint purple light. The old priest raised his head, and the two flying monsters in front of him were still staring at him, but they opened a casting circle in front of the blue flying monster. The old priest's pupils shrank sharply when he saw the casting ring. He remembered that it was recorded in an ancient book in their tribe that some powerful magical beasts would have high intelligence. They would not only use magic instinctively like ordinary magical beasts, but would be as sophisticated as their intelligent species. Use every bit of magic in your body. Construct magic in the manner of a casting circle. This kind of monster not only has high intelligence, but also possesses great strength without exception. It is invincible at the same level and can also fight across levels. In ancient books, there is a general name for this kind of monster, that is, the superior species. He opened that ancient book accidentally. After reading it, he just enjoyed reading it. Today, he believed that the records in that ancient book were true. Why didn't the old priest respond for a long time? August extended his dragon claw in front of him and lightly tapped the ground. The sharp dragon claws pierced into the mud and were pulled out. The old priest looked at the extra potholes in front of him with bitterness in his heart. It was obvious that this was a warning. From the beginning, he had no choice. The wrinkled blue palm was raised and open to hold the purple magic thread. Seeing the old priest holding the purple magic thread, Augustus spoke directly. Who are you, and why did you intrude on my territory? Augustus spoke dragon language, but his words could be clearly understood in the ears of the old priest. Are you talking to me? The old priest's body was trembling slightly, and he looked excitedly at the red beast in front of him. It's true, the contents in the ancient books are true, and superior species really exist. If the superior species in front of them can become a tribal belief, then their tribe will definitely reach a new level, and then they will directly destroy other tribes and complete the unification. Five-color dragons are born with the ability to sense the emotions emitted by a creature and discern the authenticity of what they say. Feeling the instant malice and greed in the eyes of the old man in front of him, Augustus's vertical pupils narrowed slightly, and his strong dragon claws subconsciously raised slightly, but quickly lowered them again. It's me. Forget it this time. If you ask questions like this next time, I will kill you. Feeling the oncoming terrifying aura, the old priest's body trembled slightly, and he immediately lowered his head, looking very much like a lapdog. I'm sorry, I was just too excited. Excited? Why? Existences like you are recorded in the ancient books of our tribe. They are great and supreme superior species. I always thought that book was just a story until I met the great you now. Augustus didn't feel anything about the old guy's praise. This old guy smelled of lies and hypocrisy all over his body. If he hadn't gotten what he wanted, he would have slapped it down with his paw. But ancient books? These blue orcs are really different. Their talents as pure warriors have turned into a path of faith. Augustus was interested in the ancient books mentioned by the old priest, but he was not in a hurry. As long as he reached the blue orc tribe, everything would belong to him. Last question. Why are you invading my territory? Augustus, who asked this question, immediately lay down on the spot. This position was the most relaxing position for him. A glimmer of light bloomed in the old priest's cloudy eyes. Great being, I was guided by fate to come to greet you. You are a born great being. We want to dedicate our faith to you. The power of faith can make you grow quickly. A great being, we blue orcs are very useful. We can hunt food for you, build you a magnificent temple, and hunt life crystal nuclei for you. Chapter 77. Although she didn't know what the blue orc and August were talking about, Angia felt the smell of lies emanating from the blue orc. This despicable blue-skinned orc deserves to die for daring to lie in front of the five-color dragon. Just when Angia was about to make a move, a strong red dragon claw directly landed on her head. Augustus had long seen Angia's impatience. But there is one thing to say, although it is not as round as Kalea, the tingling feeling is also very good, as comfortable as being massaged. Feeling the warmth coming from the dragon's head, Angia turned the dragon's head and silently stared at Augustus. What was this guy stopping her from doing? Faced with Angia's gaze, Augustus did not open his mouth to explain anything, but continued to look at the thin old priest in front of him, but he did not retract the big claw on Angia's dragon head. Although he didn't know why Augustus wanted to stop him, it was obvious that this guy didn't want to kill the lowly blue-skinned man in front of him. The blue dragon body lay down, and the dragon's head deflected to throw away the troublesome big claw on the dragon's head. She is not the white fool like Kalea. Augustus didn't care when his claw failed, and just silently took it back. You mean you want to be my dependent? Yes, greatness exists, and at the same time we can do more for you. The old priest did not deliberately express his belief. If he spoke too deliberately, he might arouse the vigilance of this red flying monster. After all, it is a legendary superior species, and the IQ of this flying monster is not low. After hearing the old priest's words, August opened the dragon's kiss slightly. Now, this old guy came up with this himself, not because he wanted to be a guest in their tribe. Want to become my dependent? The blue orcs would give you anything? Give everything? Pull it down. The last person you gave everything to was not going to end well. Well, since you are so sincere, I can give you a chance. Take me to your tribe. I want to see with my own eyes whether you blue orcs can really give me everything you have said. There was a hint of hesitation in the old priest's cloudy eyes. There was no way he could defeat this flying monster. If he really brought it to the tribe, and this flying monster suddenly attacked the tribe, everything would really be over. What? You don't want to? Feeling the familiar pressure on his body, the hesitation in the old priest's eyes disappeared instantly. There is nothing to hesitate. If there is no new god to protect the tribe, it will only be a matter of time before the tribe perishes. This is an honor for us blue orcs. Your great arrival is for us. Okay, if that's the case, then just lead the way and I'll follow you. August interrupted this hypocritical old man. Hypocritical praise was not what he wanted to hear. At the same time, Augustus also released his claws on the purple magic silk thread, moved his dragon head, and looked at Angia beside him. The moment August let go of the magic thread, Angia canceled the magic, and the casting ring and the magic thread dissipated in the air. Angia, go and call Kalea. Maybe we can have a good hunt this time. Hunting? Looking at August, who was smiling evilly in front of her, Angia silently glanced at the group of lowly blue-skinned orcs kneeling in front of her. Her intuition told her that the hunting August was talking about seemed to have something to do with these lowly blue-skinned orcs. The blue dragon head moved slightly, and then Angies spread its dragon wings and flew up, in the direction of the crab nest. The old priest had been quietly staring at the two flying monsters in front of him with his peripheral vision, but the magic just now had been cut off, so he could not understand what the two flying monsters were talking about now. However, after the conversation, another small blue flying monster spread its thick wings and flew away. Looking away from Angies' back, Augustus looked at the old priest in front of him, raising his long and winding dragon tail and pointing forward. "Great being, I will lead the way for you." The old priest responded respectfully, then stood up from the ground, and his people stood up with him. The blue orcs who got up walked in front. Augustus followed silently. As the blue orcs moved forward, August couldn't help but think of the meat reserves in the cave. It's a pity that the meat will probably rot in the cave. Of course, there may be another possibility. When the smell dissipates, there may be monsters coming to eat at the buffet. No matter what it is, this time it was given to me for free. But think about the secrets of these blue orcs and the possible existence of following the god of faith. Just give it to me for free. Anyway, I'm going to catch a big one soon. After walking for only a few minutes, Augustus heard the sound of wind above his head. When he raised the dragon's head, he saw the white and blue figure descending. He looked back and August continued to follow the blue orc in front. Kalea, who was flying in the sky, flew directly to Augustus' warm back without any hesitation. She was awakened by Angies' cry in her sleep. She wasn't full yet and wanted to sleep a little longer. Noticing Kalea's flight path, Angia paused and followed her. I felt a familiar weight on my back, and there were two of them. August's dragon claw paused. What did these two guys think of me? Mount? I must correct the misconceptions of these two guys today. Turning around to look at the dragon's head, he saw that the two guys on his back were already lying down. Kalea, who was already lying down, was holding up the round white dragon head. Her pair of crystal white vertical pupils looked harmless, well-behaved, and cute. August, where are we going? Go to the tribe of blue orcs. Well, what about our food? No, we will get more food from the blue orc tribe. That's it. Kalea didn't have any doubts. She believed that August AO would not deceive her. August, I'm so sleepy. I want to sleep. Well, then you go to sleep. Ouch, Kalea lay down, with her round dragon head lying on her warm and broad back. The chubby dragon claws rested on the dragon's head, and a pair of thick eyelids slowly closed. In just a moment, Kalea started breathing steadily and rhythmically. This idiot is getting cuter and cuter. By the way, what are you going to do? Forget it. It doesn't seem to be important. Augustus turned his gaze to look at Angia. Angia's blue vertical pupils were still calm and unruffled. Well, forget it. Let Angia stay here too, just as payment for Angia's obedience to let me touch her head just now. Withdrawing his gaze, Augustus continued to look forward. At this time, the blue orcs walking in front had stopped. Chapter 78. Augustus stepped forward, and without communicating, the old priest wisely ordered the tribesmen to continue moving forward. This walk is half a month's journey. Walking on the plain covered with green grass, Augustus stared quietly at the back of the old priest who was leading the way. If it weren't for the revelation from time that the old man was leading the right path, he would have thought that the old guy was up to something new. How can one walk take such a long time? In fact, what Augustus didn't know was that this was already a very fast journey. You must know that the old priest and a group of tribesmen walked for a month before reaching the crab nest. Because they lost the power bank of the wind spirit lord, Anuka needed to suffer a backlash every time he cast a spell. This forced them to carefully avoid those powerful monsters along the way, which led to a longer journey. The old priest would take action only when absolutely necessary, and with Augustus following him, he basically killed whatever he encountered along the way. At the same time, this also made the old priest's heart become hotter and hotter. For such a powerful superior species, if he becomes the god of the tribe, then he can also control this power. The journey continues. After walking for another 3 hours, Augustus saw a small hill appearing on the plain ahead. There were some houses piled with stones and a large platform on the hill. The red vertical pupils condensed slightly. Here we are, these tribes of blue orcs. Follow the blue orc priest all the way into the tribe. Azza. As soon as he walked into the tribe gate, a young blue orc ran up and hugged Anuka. Anuka was also very excited when he was hugged by his son. He was already prepared not to come back this time, but in the end fate favored him. After getting excited, Amon looked at the fiery red giant beast following him. This fiery red giant beast looked very strong, but there were two blue and white giant beasts with the same appearance but different colors lying on its back. This should be its cub. Aza, is this monster the new slave god you found? Upon hearing her son's offensive words, Anuka quickly reached out and covered her son's mouth. Fortunately, the red flying monster behind him couldn't understand their language, otherwise his son's words might really cause trouble. Although the statement was correct, it would have to wait until this red flying monster became their slave god. Stop talking nonsense. Go quickly and let people prepare for the sacrificial ceremony. Hearing Aza's prompt, Amon didn't pay much attention. Anyway, it was just a warcraft and he didn't understand it. I really don't know why Aza was so careful, but he still nodded, indicating that he understood. Anuka released her hands covering her son. Go get ready. Okay, Aza. Lying on the back of the red dragon's body, Anja's pupils quickly condensed. These blue orcs really deserve to die. In the past half-month, she was not like Kalea who ate and slept every day. During the journey, she not only developed a few small spells, but also completed self-study of these lowly blue orc languages. Hey Gus, do you know what they said? Augustus, who was looking at the old priest, turned around when he heard the voice on his back and looked at Anjia lying on his back. Can you understand the language of these blue orcs? Augustus's focus was this. Anjia couldn't understand it half a month ago, so why could she understand it all of a sudden? Well, during this time I taught myself the language of these lowly blue orcs. As expected of Anjia, her self-learning ability is really great and her intelligence is so high. She will definitely become an excellent master in the future, although she may be a few 100 million points behind him. But what did these blue orcs say? This made Anjia actually show her emotions. Augustus had long noticed the anger in Anjia's eyes. I also became interested for a while. What did they say? They are going to turn you into the new slave god. This. In fact, August already knew this in his heart, so it was not surprising at all to hear this. Please note that these blue orcs are different from normal blue orcs. They seem to be able to control the gods they believe in through faith. It's like, are you concerned about me? Being suddenly interrupted, Anja's words came to an abrupt end, and a pair of blue vertical pupils quickly condensed. Humph, as a 5-color dragon, I don't have the kind of emotions that inferior species have. I just feel that if you are manipulated by these blue orcs, it will damage the majesty of our 5-color dragon. After saying that, Anjia turned towards the dragon's head. Emotion? Ridiculous. Those are things only inferior species have, and as a superior species, she doesn't need them. Looking at Anjia who deflected the dragon's head in front of her, Augustus' eyes showed a playful look. He really didn't expect Anjia to have the attribute of Tsundere. The dragon's head turned to the front, and the playful look inside it disappeared in an instant, replaced by the indifference that the 5-color dragon was born with. Okay, the tribe has also arrived. The person talking to the old guy should be of his bloodline. They have the same smell. Then we can start getting down to business now. The red dragon's snout was slightly split. The strong dragon claws exerted force fiercely. Poof! Several blue orcs blocking the road were directly slapped into a pile by August's dragon claw. After telling his son, the old priest turned around, and in an instant, a strong dragon claw quickly enlarged in his sight. With almost no time to react, the old priest was directly pressed to the ground by the dragon's claws. Aza, Amon, who had not yet left, happened to see this scene. In an instant, he felt the blood all over his body, and Wu Wei pulled out the stone axe from his waist. Bang! The moment the stone axe struck the dragon's claw, it shattered into rubble. Augustus was immediately happy when he saw the blue orc who came to the door. He raised his strong dragon claw and pressed it down. The blue orc directly followed in the footsteps of his old man and was pinned under his right paw. Ding 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 ding, stone spears were thrown all over the sky, and it was the blue orc tribe warriors who reacted. Seeing that the old priests and future priests and their family were attacked, they didn't care about anything else and launched an attack directly. Only the 6 blue orcs who followed the old priest all the way showed fear in their eyes. They knew how terrifying this red flying monster was. Ding! A stone spear hit Kalea's round head impartially. This made Kalea, who was sleeping on her stomach, open her eyes in an instant. A pair of bright white vertical pupils quickly condensed, showing anger, and the chubby dragon claws quickly propped up the dragon body. Who dares to sneak attack the great Lady Kalea? It's the blue orcs. Kill them, Kalea. A familiar voice answered Kalea. Hearing August's words, Kalea instantly became even more angry. A group of inferior species actually dared to sneak attack on the great Lady Kalea. The chubby dragon wings spread out and flew down. Chapter 79. Although Kalea looks chubby, her speed is not slow at all every time she fights. He instantly swooped down in front of a group of tribal warriors, raised his chubby dragon claw, and struck it down with one claw. The two tribal warriors who were photographed were instantly plunged into the soil, and the soil was stained red with blood. Seeing the death of their companions, all the tribe warriors immediately raised their stone spears angrily and stabbed Kalea. Zila, the stone spear made a crisp sound when it hit the white dragon scales. Not to mention piercing it, it failed to leave even a trace on the white dragon scales. The eyes of the blue orc warriors, who originally looked fearless, showed fear at this moment. But it's too late. The stone spear's attack did not injure Kalea but succeeded in irritating her. Ouch! Accompanied by a childish roar, Kalea's chubby dragon claws instantly broke through the formation of the blue orc warriors. The battle was almost one-sided. Augustus looked away from the chubby figure who was charging wantonly among the blue orc warriors. The dragon's head was lowered, and his red vertical pupils stared quietly at the old priest with his two paws pressed down. The old priest was not dead, but blood was constantly bleeding from the corner of his mouth. However, he did not care about his own condition, but turned his head and looked closely at Amon, who was holding his lower body with his claws. Unlike him, Amon suffered significantly greater injuries and had fainted, but blood kept coming out of his mouth. Amon! Amon! No matter how the old priest called, his son Amon never responded, except that the upper body of his body would occasionally twitch. Augustus was not surprised at all by this situation. When he slapped the young orc just now, he deliberately increased the force. Angia, tell this old guy that if you want to save his son, then hand over their tribe's sacrificial ritual. There was no response from the back, but a familiar purple magic thread stretched to the front. Looking at the purple magical thread in front of him, Augustus turned back and stared quietly at Angia, who was lying on his back. What does Angia mean? Even though he knew the language of these blue orcs, he still had to use this magic. A purple casting ring spread out in front of the blue dragon head. Facing August's gaze, Angia did not give in at all. Learning the language of the blue orcs is one thing. Say? Impossible. She wouldn't use such mean language. What's the meaning? August, you can defeat me or even hit me, but you can't insult my pride as a blue dragon. It's just a sentence. Why does this have anything to do with insult? Augustus was a little confused. Looking at Angia's behavior in front of her, it was definitely impossible to get her to pass on the message. But it doesn't matter. August deflected the dragon's head, raised its claws and grasped the purple magic thread in front of him. The purple magic thread at the other end also immediately extended downwards. The moment he saw the purple magic thread in front of him, the old priest's cloudy eyes burst out with extreme longing, just like a drowning man seeing a life-saving straw. This time, the old priest didn't hesitate, reached out and grabbed the purple magic thread. Why? Why are you attacking us? There was doubt in his turbid eyes. This old thing is really good at pretending. Stop pretending, old man. In fact, I already know that you can control Warcraft through faith. You want to make me your new god. You just want to turn me into your new puppet. And do you really think we don't understand what you're saying? Slave god. You really dare to think about it? After hearing what the flying monster said, the old priest's lips trembled and he couldn't say a word for a long time. His eyes became increasingly cloudy, and he was obviously completely desperate. I felt the despair spreading from the old man in front of me. Augustus broke the dragon's kiss with satisfaction. He liked the smell. Old man, let's make a deal. I can forgive you for what you did, but you also need to pay something accordingly and hand over the complete sacrificial ritual of your tribe. You can think about it slowly, but your bloodline probably won't last long. When the old priest, who was already desperate, heard this, his cloudy eyes gradually became bright again. As long as you let me and my blood go, I can give you anything. Very good. You are very sensible, old man. Augustus released the dragon's claw that was pressing on the old priest. The moment he regained his freedom, the old priest rolled and crawled towards Amon next to him regardless. He reached out to help his son up and put his right palm on his face. A faint cyan light emerged from his palm. Augustus did not stop the old priest's behavior, and his pair of red vertical pupils condensed slightly. Sure enough, this old guy stole the White Wolf King's divine power. Yes, the cyan light is not magic, but divine power. Wow, the old priest spit out a large mouthful of blood, but looking at Amon, who had relaxed in front of him, a satisfied smile appeared on his face. However, he did not forget his deal with this high-level monster. The old priest turned around and raised his palm to condense a white light group. Here's what you want. Looking at the white light floating silently on the old man's palm, Augustus did not reach out to catch it. Time enlightens, let's go. This is a very corrosive belief. The red vertical pupils were slightly condensed, and the gaze inside became more and more indifferent. Augustus stared coldly at the old man in front of him. Are you sure this is what I want? Yes, there is the knowledge you want in it. Call. Accompanied by a sound that broke through the air, the long and winding fiery red dragon tail thrust out. Because the speed was so fast, a red afterimage even appeared in the air. The target of dragon tail is not the old priest, but Amon lying in front of him. The dragon's tail pierced the soil and cut off the blue orc's right leg. The unconscious blue orc on the ground twitched violently twice as if instinctively. What are you doing? Amon, my Amon. The old priest felt distressed and hugged his own blood. August ignored the old priest's anger and continued to stare at the old priest with cold eyes. Are you sure this is what I want? Once again, Augustus asked the question just now. There was a hint of fear in the old priest's cloudy eyes. This superior species must have some ability to determine whether he had deceived him, otherwise he shouldn't have noticed it. And this isn't the first time. The slender dragon tail inserted into the soil was pulled out, but not retracted. The sharp tail tip, like a Mitsubishi military thorn, was aimed at the body of the young blue orc. Chapter 80. No blood flowed from the leg that was stabbed by the dragon's tail. The high temperature carried by the dragon's tail automatically treated the wound, and a faint scent of meat emitted from the air. This old guy is not honest at all. He wants to trick the dragon over and over again. To be honest, his patience has almost reached its limit. If there is another time, then don't forget about this special religious ceremony. No, wait, don't kill Amon. I'll give it to you. I'll give you everything. Seeing Amon's tail raised and aimed at Amon again, Anuka panicked completely. He could feel the almost naked malice in the red vertical pupils of the superior species in front of him. Augustus didn't speak, just looked at the old thing in front of him indifferently. Wait for me, I'll get it. The sacrificial ceremony is recorded in a magic book, Time Enlightenment. Having been seen through time and time again, this old priest's psychological defense has been defeated by you. Now he just wants to save his bloodline, even if it costs everything. Can't. Augustus gently moved the red dragon head. After receiving the agreement, the old priest's cloudy eyes showed a hint of joy. He stood up and ran into the tribe with a gaunt but graceful step. Is there any way you can determine whether the old priest is lying or not? At this time, Anje's voice came from behind. It is true that their 5-color dragons can feel negative emotions, but this alone should not be enough for August to easily see through the tricks of this lowly old orc every time. This guy August must have awakened some special talent. Augustus turned around and looked at Anje on his back. There is a hint of curiosity in his pair of calm blue vertical pupils. The red dragon's snout was slightly split. Yes, after dropping these 2 words, August turned the dragon's head and looked at the white fool who was chasing a group of blue orcs. The blue orcs had obviously been defeated and were being killed randomly by this white fool. The dragon body lay down on the spot. Augustus enjoyed by fool's entertainment. Not long after, a familiar breath appeared. Only then did Augustus retract his gaze and look in front of him. The old priest came back. In the old priest's hand was a book with a golden cover. There was a faint magical aura surrounding it. It was obvious that this was a magic book. The old priest who walked up to Augustus knelt down directly, holding the magic book in his hand, high above his head. This is the sacrificial ceremony you want. The entire sacrificial ceremony is recorded. Facing the magic book presented by the old priest, Augustus did not immediately stretch out his claws to receive it. The red vertical pupils condensed slightly. Time Enlightenment. This is a magic book with a faint special aura. This is a book deliberately dropped by a certain existence. It records a belief ritual. After passing this ritual, it can achieve a deceptive effect and allow the believed gods to be sacrificed. The host controls it in order to steal the opponent's divine power. A certain existence. The figure of the white cat suddenly appeared in August's mind. Could it be that he is the master of this world? After thinking for a while, August stretched out his claws to catch the magic book presented by the old priest. Dragon Kiss opened his mouth and directly threw the magic book in. Of course, this does not mean that it was eaten. The structure of the dragon is very special. There is an organ in the dragon's snout that can be used to store food. Of course, it can also be used to store some important items. Seeing the superior in front of him accept the magic book, the old priest's cloudy eyes revealed a look of expectation. The things have been given to you. Can I leave with my Amon? Of course, but before you leave, I want to ask you one more question. You won't refuse me, right? Any questions you have, Anuka will be happy to answer. Anuka understood that he had no choice. Very good. Are there any other blue orc tribes around? Since this old guy has already shown his sincerity, I should also show his sincerity. The slender dragon tail aimed at the young male orc slowly retracted. Yes, in addition to our wind spirit tribe, there are 4 other tribes nearby. They are nearby. Maybe you can see the remaining 4 tribes by flying higher. He has no pressure at all to sell the 4 tribes. We are all mortal enemies, so we will sell them if they are sold. Also, if the remaining 4 tribes can unite, this high-ranking species may not be able to survive easily. With them, fumbling just like the tribe, there are gods in the other 4 tribes. Do the 4 tribes all believe in gods like you?
Yes.
Hearing the blue orc's answer, August's red vertical pupils instantly spread with joy, and the dragon's kiss also cracked slightly due to the huge pleasure. It's going to be a great hunt. For tribes, then it means that there will be at least 4 belief gods. Where does your tribe's strength rank compare to these 4 tribes?
Second.
Second? It seems that these gods of faith are indeed not very good. Time enlightenment. You learned the news about the 4 tribes from the old priest. As he said, the strength of the 4 tribes' belief gods is not very good. This will be a great hunt for you. After receiving the revelation, Augustus became even more happy. Great superior species, can I leave with my Amon? Get out. Augustus loosened his grip on the purple magic thread and raised his dragon claw to wave. There was a hint of surprise in Anuka's cloudy eyes, and he bent down to carry his Amon. The white superior species at the gate was still chasing the tribesmen wantonly. After thinking about it, Anuka turned and walked into the tribe. There was also an exit behind the tribe. August raised the dragon's head and watched the old priest walk away for a distance with cold eyes. Angia, go kill this old guy. Whoosh, along with the sound of breaking through the air, a blue afterimage stretched in the air. Feeling the sound of wind behind him, the old priest turned around instantly. The wind blade that had already been condensed in his hand raised his hand and waved it out, heading straight for the blue dragon's head. Facing the whistling cyan wind blade, Angia seemed to have expected it. She tilted her head slightly to avoid the fatal blow. 2 slender and sharp front claws waved out. Poof! The 2 heads instantly turned into white and red berries. After taking care of the 2 blue orcs, Angia turned upside down in the air and landed on August's back. As soon as it fell, a slender fiery red dragon tail wrapped around her waist. Tails lifted Angia and placed it in front of her. It's not surprising that Angia was able to deal with the old guy Augustus. There is a golden book floating quietly in front of the red dragon head. Angia, what's written on it? Angia glanced at the magic book in front of her, and the blue dragon kiss suddenly cracked slightly. You guess? Chapter 81. These 2 familiar words, the fiery red vertical pupils condensed slightly. Angia learned it very quickly. But it's still too naive. Let me teach this Angia a lesson today. The long and winding fiery red dragon tail instantly extended and wrapped around the blue dragon body. Angia wanted to resist, but it was too late. The huge dragon body pressed directly on its back, suppressing Angia firmly under him, facing the biting blue dragon's head. Augustus stretched out his 2 claws to hold it firmly. The red dragon's head hung low, less than a few feet away from the blue dragon's head. Stop at centimeters. Forcing Angia to look at her. A faint fragrance came, refreshing the heart and spleen of the dragon. The fragrance was emitted from Angel Dragon Kiss. It smelled very good. The fragrance was a bit like orchid. Smelling this fragrance, Augustus felt that his heart became calm. Stand up. Suddenly August felt like he understood why Angia looked so quiet every day. As if knowing that she couldn't break free, Angia stopped struggling. Feeling this change, Augustus proudly broke the dragon's kiss. Angia, guess whether I can guess or not? Snort. August's answer was a childish and indifferent snort. The blue dragon's head moved to the right, but it was obviously impossible. August's 2 strong dragon claws were not easy to break free from. Looking at this annoying guy in front of her, Angia simply chose to close her eyes. The thick eyelids covered with fine scales were closed, and the worst she could do was get beaten by this big chip. When she grows up in the future, she will definitely get more from this big chip. Augustus, are you ready to be beaten? TSK, does he look like that kind of violent dragon? I won't beat you, but you have to tell me the specific contents of this book. The thick eyelids covered with fine blue scales were raised, and the pink eye masks opened to reveal a pair of calm and deep blue vertical pupils. Okay, although this is the language used by the blue orcs, it is mixed with magic patterns. It will take me a few days to read it. Augustus could understand what Angia meant. She just wanted him to give her the book. The strong dragon claw let go of the blue dragon head it was holding. The dragon claw held the magic book and threw it directly towards Angia. Facing the magic book thrown at her, Angia stretched out her dragon claws to catch it. The cover of the golden magic book is covered with transparent mucus, which is obviously the big crumbs of saliva. There was an undisguised look of disgust in his blue vertical pupils. Then Angia took the book and walked to the well in front. The long and winding blue dragon tail wrapped around the magic book and extended down the well. The magic book is waterproof and will not be corroded by water, so you don't have to worry about cleaning it at all. Angia really didn't hide her shame at all. Looking away from Angia, Augustus looked at Kalea, who was still chasing a group of blue orcs. Kalea, you're back. Hearing the sound of August's cry, Kalea's bright white vertical pupils, which were condensed to the extreme, suddenly spread slightly. Chubby Dragon Claw braked hard and sat on the ground, but even so, the strong inertia still made her rush a long distance before stopping. The round dragon's head moved, and his eyes looked in the direction of August Ao, and he saw August Ao looking at him. It was really Augustus who was calling him. Back, Kalea. Ouch, as if she had been confirmed. Kalea once again moved her chubby paws, but this time she no longer chased a group of blue orcs, but ran towards August. Facing the white fool running towards him, Augustus quickly discovered something was wrong. Why did the white fool show no intention of slowing down? Auguseo, at the approaching moment, Kalea jumped up with her hind paws and pounced on August. Looking at the white fool who was covered in blood and rushing towards him, Augustus's eyes revealed a hint of disgust without concealment. Then he silently turned sideways and avoided the white fool who rushed towards him. Ouch! Facing Augusto who had escaped from her, Kalea was dumbfounded. She tilted her head tactically with her round dragon head, and then, ouch! The round dragon body rolled to the ground and turned into a fat ball rolling forward. Noticing the white fool rolling towards this side, Angia silently took out her dragon claws and walked to the right. She also gracefully pulled out the long and winding dragon tail that had been thrust into the well. Ouch, ouch, ouch! With Kalea's scream, she rolled directly and hit the well. Boom! With a huge impact, the well shattered, and the water inside overflowed to the ground. Ouch! Kalea, who was sitting on the well, shook her head and shook her round dragon head for a while before she came to her senses. The round dragon head swings left and right. He looked at August Ao in confusion. August doesn't want Kalea anymore? Facing the pitiful look in by Duozi's eyes, Augustus felt his conscience sting slightly, but it was only for a moment. This idiot was playing dirty and still pounced on me. He really didn't count at all. Your body is too dirty, Kalea. Wash it off and I will continue to want you. That's it. Then I'll wash it all off. Kalea, who was sitting on the well, turned around, raised her butt and started to dig the well with her front paws. Only by widening the small well could she properly clean the dragon's body. In just a few clicks, Kalea widened the well, and her chubby dragon body jumped directly into the slightly turbid well. The turbid water soon began to turn red. August, I'm clean. Kalea left the well and walked upright in front of August. Looking at the little paw in front of him, Augustus showed a look of satisfaction in his red vertical pupils. As expected, this white fool was much cuter than Angia. The big claws were raised and placed directly on the round white dragon body. Very good, Kalea. Let's go hunting next. Ouch! Kalea instantly became interested when she heard about hunting, and the chubby white dragon tail behind her quickly swung from side to side. After squealing twice, Kalea moved her hind paws and ran to the side of Augustus. Her chubby dragon claws pulled Augustus's dragon body, and her two thick and fat hind paws climbed up the broad fiery red dragon body. Augustus did not stop Kalea's idiotic behavior. He waited for Kalea to climb up behind him, and then Augustus spread out a pair of dragon wings covered with thick dragon scales and flew into the sky. Just after flying for a while, the weight on my back changed from one part to two parts. Augustus ignored this, but Angia also came up. It doesn't matter. For him there is no difference between one more weight and one more weight. The dragon's body quickly climbed upwards. The old man had already said that he could see the other 4 tribes by flying high enough. Chapter 82. No, I'm a dragon with time enlightenment. Find one. Time enlightens me and leaves you. Over this mountain, fly forward for 10 minutes to reach the first tribe, fly to the right to reach the second tribe, fly to the left to reach the third tribe, and continue flying to the left to reach the fourth tribe. Maybe you should go forward flight. Fly forward? After receiving the revelation, the thick dragon wings spread out on his back vigorously flapped, and Augustus directly chose to fly forward. After climbing over the mountains of the Foamling tribe, we continued flying forward and passed about 2 mountains. There was smoke rising from the basin in front of us. August's eyes lit up when he saw traces of smoke. The dragon's wings vibrated and flew to a stop above the smoke. The dragon's head looked down. Although everything on the ground looked like a small of sesame seeds at his current height, Augustus could still clearly see every blue orc moving below with the powerful eyesight of the dragon species. This is indeed a tribe of blue orcs, with piles of low thatched houses. Adult blue orcs are busy, and cubs are playing in the tribe. It is the god of belief of this tribe who does not seem to be in the tribe. Another tribe of blue orcs. Angia said, looking at Augustus. It was obvious that this man wanted to hunt the gods of faith of these tribes. Well, that's right. Remember that white wolf king? Ouch, what a delicious puppy. This time it's Kalea. That's right, Kalea. Now there is a blue orc tribe below that has food that is as delicious as a puppy. Then let's hunt it. Yeah, we're going to hunt it. Staring at the blue orc tribe below, there was only indifference in the red vertical pupils. Augustus had no feeling at all about killing these blue orcs. These blue orcs lived in accordance with the laws of nature on this plane. You two get off my back first and wait here for me to come back. Aguayo, don't you want me and Anjiao to help? No, the god of faith in this blue orc tribe is not in the tribe now. So we have to use some means to get the god of faith in this tribe to come forward. The god of belief of the blue orcs is an existence controlled by the priest. Since this is the case, when the tribe encounters the risk of destruction, the priest will definitely summon the tribal god back. This is August's idea, simple and crude but effective. Means? Kalea tilted her round dragon head. I don't understand. Ouch, after squealing twice, Kalea spread her dragon wings and flew up from August's back. Angia didn't say anything. She just silently spread her dragon wings and flew up. You two wait for me here. After giving an explanation, August spread his dragon wings and dived down. There is a flying monster attack. As August approached the ground, a blue orc spotted a fiery red figure swooping down from the sky. The tribal warriors reacted quickly. They picked up the stone spears and aimed a wave of intensive throws. Ding, 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 ding. The stone spear pierced the dragon's body and made a clanking sound. Augustus doesn't care about these stone spears at all. Just kidding. He won't break the defense at all. Approaching the tribe, the red vertical pupils condensed. The red dragon kiss that was constantly emitting black smoke opened, and the dragon's breath like lava poured down directly. Everything where the dragon's breath went was ignited. In just an instant, the entire tribe was engulfed in flames. The burning tribe was quietly reflected in the red vertical pupils. Well, that's almost it. He dived close to the ground and rushed into a group of blue orc warriors. He grabbed 2 blue orc warriors with his sharp dragon claws and flew directly into the sky with a flutter of his thick dragon wings. Finished. Call it a day. Flying into the sky, Augustus quickly flew back to Kalea and Angia. August, isn't this inedible? Kalea's round dragon head came close to August's front paws, holding a blue orc in 2 strong front paws covered with red dragon scales. The bones on their bodies had been strangled, and they were obviously too cold. It can't get any colder. Well, you can't eat it, but it's useful. This is not a fool. It is indeed useful. Since they have already attacked the tribe, they must create a legitimate reason to attack the tribe, such as hunting. Of course, Augustus was not prepared to eat this stuff. These 2 blue orcs were only high level and had not even entered the ring level. It really made him lose his appetite. Since coming to this underground world, there is no meal that is not the first level magic beast meat with high magic concentration. Now this kind of ordinary food, I really don't like it. But, Augustus, I'm hungry, counting the time. They had not hunted for several days. Crystal dragon saliva dripped from the white dragon's kiss, and Kalea's eyes were filled with appetite as she looked at the 2 blue orc corpses. However, Augustus said you can't eat this. There was hesitation in the white vertical pupils again. Seeing the tangled look on this white idiot, Augustus directly raised the dragon claw and threw it. The two blue orc corpses were thrown high, the red dragon kiss opened, and a mouthful of hot dragon breath spit out upwards. The two blue orc corpses were turned into ashes directly in the dragon's breath. There's no food. Kalea stared blankly at the missing food. At this moment, a familiar warm paw rested on her round dragon head. Come on, Kalea. Let's go hunting together. The new blue orc tribe will definitely need some time to react, so don't worry. I can find a hilltop with Kalea and Angia, have a barbecue, and then sleep. After waking up, come back to see if the god of faith of the blue orc tribe has returned. If not, come again. The fiery red vertical pupils spread with joy. I am indeed a magician, and he can come up with such invincible strategies. Ouch! The round dragon head pressed against the warm and humming big paws on top of its head. These two fools. Angia silently watched the interaction between the two guys. Feeling the gaze from the side, Augustus turned around the dragon's head and saw Angia staring directly at this side. No, to be precise, he was staring at the claws that he placed on the white fool's dragon's head. Does Angia also want this? Jejejia, it seems that my charm as a giant dragon is not low at all. Augustus raised his left paw and waved towards Angia. Seeing the red dragon claws pointing towards her, Angia said nothing and silently moved the blue dragon's head away. The white vertical pupils that spread with joy condensed slightly, and Kalea stretched out her chubby paws to touch her round belly. Although he was a little reluctant to part with Augustus's warm big paws, his stomach was still more important. The chubby white dragon's claws were raised above the dragon's head, and the warm big claws resting on his own dragon's head were raised. Noticing that the dragon's claw was lifted, Augustus looked at the white idiot in front of him, his eyes directly meeting his pair of crystal white vertical pupils. August, I'm hungry. Let's go hunting quickly. Chapter 83. Okay, let's go hunting. Augustus retracted his claws, spread out his dragon wings and flew towards the mountain behind. In a tribe of fire, a young blue orc wearing clothes made of colorful feathers stared quietly at the red flying monster that disappeared in the sky. How long? Since their 1,000-foot tribe took control of the 1,000-foot god, no monster has dared to offend their 1,000-foot tribe. But today, a flying monster dared to attack their 1,000-foot tribe. It was really looking for death. Master Priest, the fire is a bit out of control. What should we do? Abandon this station. Take everything you can, and go to the second station. Yes, Lord Priest. The blue orc bowed and turned to leave. The young priest turned around and walked towards the forest. After walking through the forest, the young priest came to a stop in front of a huge cave. In front of the huge cave, bones are piled up like a mountain. Looking at the dark cave in front of him, the young priest raised his right palm and a dark green light gathered from his palm. Soon a ball of light the size of a tennis ball was condensed in the palm of my hand. The light group was condensed, and the young priest pushed directly into the dark cave. The dark green light group immediately flew into the dark cave. About a minute passed. Kaka. A slightly weird sound came from the cave. From slow to fast. Rustle, the sand and stones on the ground trembled slightly, as if something terrifying was about to rush out of the cave. Facing this kind of movement, the young priest seemed to have been used to it for a long time, and stood in the cave with a calm expression. Soon 2 large dark green lanterns lit up in the dark cave. The clicking sound became slower, and a big black centipede head, about the same size as the front of a big truck, poked out of the dark cave. Looking at the 1,000-legged god in front of him, who was as big as a hill, the young priest's eyes showed strong confidence. Now it's time to make that damn flying monster pay the price. The 1,000-legged god lowered his head. The young priest used his legs to jump directly onto the 1,000-legged god's head and stood steadily. The 1,000-legged god who caught the young priest began to move again, and the 1,000-legged god under the long body began to move quickly. Crack, click, click. Every time the 1,000-legged god moves, the thick black shells on the huge body will collide together, and then make a rapid clicking sound. On a flat land on the top of a mountain, 3 dragons sat around in front of the flame spear. Above the flame spear, there was a 5 or 6 meter long spicy stick that was skewered by trees and grilled. The air is filled with the faint scent of meat, but neither August nor the edible Kalea could eat anymore. As for Angia, she had already been studying the sacrificial magic book. The blue dragon body was lying on the ground, its butt pointed at the fire. August glanced at the white fool next to him. The round dragon body was lying flat on the ground, with its belly facing the sky. A pair of thick eyelids had already been closed, and it was snoring one after another. Kalea. After eating and drinking enough, forget it. I'd better lie down too. At the moment when this idea just came up. Kakaka. What's going on? Urgent sounds came continuously. The strong dragon claws supported the dragon's body, and Augustus walked towards the edge of the cliff. Almost at the same time, Angia also heard the sound. She put down her magic book and followed August to the top of the cliff. When he reached the top of the cliff and looked down, Augustus could see the huge creature running wildly in the forest at a glance. In the dense forest below, a giant centipede-like creature with a body length of 100 meters was moving at high speed. It had thousands of legs and long legs, and its whole body was covered with a black hard shell. Augustus felt a familiar aura on this monster. It's a fluctuation of divine power. This is also a god of faith. There is also a record in the inheritance that this kind of monster is called a millipede, and its strength is considered good. There is also a blue orc dressed as a priest standing on top of this millipede. The aura of this millipede is probably around the 5th ring, so it's not a big problem. The millipede moved very quickly, its huge size creating a winding avenue through the dense forest. Looking at the direction, the other party was obviously coming towards the hill where they were. Belief in gods, priests. Thinking about it, August broke the dragon's kiss. I really didn't expect that this blue orc priest was so impatient. I actually got a door-to-door delivery. I must give it a 5-star rating. The red vertical pupils condensed. Time enlightenment, with the combination of lucky white and wisdom blue, plus you are of the bloodline of the time dragon. There is no reason why you cannot defeat a defective god of faith. However, you still have to pay attention to its jaws during the battle, as poisonous mist will be emitted from it. It is extremely corrosive and can corrode your dragon scales, but it can only be used once. When the jaw flips over, it is when he will spray the poisonous mist. Poisonous fog? I understand. With a powerful kick from his strong dragon claws, Augustus dived directly from the top of the mountain. At this time, the millipede had already arrived halfway up the mountain. The distance between the two quickly narrowed. At the moment of approaching, Augustus' dragon wings deflected slightly, turning the dragon's body directly to avoid the bite of the big centipede. The strong dragon claws aimed at the blue orc standing on top of the millipede's head. Priest. Poof. With one claw, the blue orc priest turned into flesh. After flying some distance, Augustus lowered his dragon head and stared at his flesh-covered dragon claws. Is this killing? Isn't it a little too relaxed? The millipede, which had missed the target with one blow, turned around and faced August again. But if you look carefully, you will find deep fear in the millipede's dark green pupils. Feeling the smell of fear emanating from the millipede, Augustus became even more confused. No, this thing isn't right. It shouldn't be that simple. Time. Just when August was about to activate the time revelation, he saw the remaining flesh and blood of the priest on the top of the millipede's head exploded into a ball of blood mist. The blood mist seemed to be carrying consciousness and poured directly into the body of the millipede. Faint red lines emerged from the millipede's pitch-black shell. Hiss! Hiss! The millipede was obviously in pain, and its huge body began to twist wildly, and its body rolled down the mountain. Although we don't know exactly what happened to this millipede, but this picture looked a bit familiar to Augustus, and it looked a bit like a precursor to the second stage of the boss in the game. But this is reality, not a game. I will not just watch you evolve. The red vertical pupils condensed. Huh. At this moment, there was a sound coming from the side, and Augustus glanced at it with his peripheral vision and found that Angia and Kalea were coming together. Chapter 84. August, this big bug down there is so big, do we want to beat it? Yes, we want to hunt it, but not now. Let's wait until I take a shot first, Kalea. After giving his instructions, Augustus shouted directly to Angia. Angia, help me. The red vertical pupils quickly condensed, and in an instant many fiery red light spots appeared in the air and gathered in front of the red dragon head. A ring of flames condensed in front of the red dragon head, and the ring of flames was engraved with mysterious and hot flame magic patterns. This was not the end. The second flame ring began to condense and overlap. The third way, the fourth way. It wasn't until the fourth circle overlapped that magic came out that it calmed down. Augustus glanced down at the millipede writhing in agony in the forest. If it were a normal 5-ring millipede, with Jian Judgment plus his own fire element pro bonus and Angia's mosquito legs, this blow would definitely be enough to severely damage the millipede. But the millipede below is not a normal millipede. but a god of faith who has condensed his faith. He already has divine power in his body. So it's not enough. This level of power is not enough. In this case, let's inject it into me. Red flames emerged from the red vertical pupils. More fiery red light spots appeared in the air, and the temperature began to rise. Densely packed fiery red light spots all poured into the flame-casting ring, and the 4 casting rings began to expand, spreading from 5 meters to 10 meters, 15 meters, and 20 meters. When about half of the fire elemental magic power in his body was directly consumed, Augustus stopped injecting magic power. Almost, this one blow is enough to kill the millipede below. One glanced at Angia, who was beside her. Sensing August's gaze, without opening his mouth, a purple casting ring had already formed in front of Angia's blue dragon head. Magic threads instantly extended from the purple casting ring and injected into the flame casting ring. The 4 flame casting rings were instantly covered with a layer of purple arcs. Okay, the spell casting is ready. Next, flames surged on the 4 overlapping casting rings, and a 30-meter-long flaming cross sword instantly condensed out of the casting rings. The cross sword is surrounded by flames, like a sacred sword of judgment, as if it can judge all sins. However, just to be on the safe side, Augustus silently opened the dragon's kiss and sprayed a breath of plunder directly on the flaming sword. The flames wrapped around the flaming sword were instantly covered with a layer of white flames. The cross sword was aimed at the millipede below. It was at this moment that the millipede stopped struggling and seemed to have completed its transformation. The millipede's body is covered with red magic lines. These magic lines emit a faint red light and look very strange. The wildness and fear in the millipede's dark green pupils dissipated, replaced by calmness, as if he had changed his soul. Okay, now it's time to find the big flying red lizard to avenge the tribe. It's just a pity that my new body has returned to this guy's body after only a few days. The moment the millipede raised its head, he saw a flaming cross sword magnifying in his sight. The long sword came to him in an instant. The scorching heat carried above caused the air to twist slightly. The millipede subconsciously wanted to hide, but an inexplicable pressure suddenly appeared on him, which made his movements slow down a lot. Although his body has become slower, the millipede is not panic at all, because the thick armor on his body is not a vegetarian, let alone the thick armor that has awakened the magic pattern. The magic resistance is ridiculously high. Poof! The flaming cross sword accurately penetrated the millipede's head and penetrated the thick armor that he was proud of. How come? Boom! Along with an explosion, a flame mushroom cloud hundreds of meters high rose up. Crack! The powerful impact directly cleared a nearby area within 1,000 meters, exposing the bright red soil. It is precisely because of this that this forest directly avoided a fire disaster. Looking at the rising mushroom cloud, Augustus was so happy that he broke the dragon's kiss. With this power, I am indeed a natural master. The red vertical pupils reflected the flaming ground below. The breath of the millipede had disappeared in the flames. It seemed like it was a bit too hard. I'm afraid there would be no meat left after this blow. But the same is true for living crystal nuclei. Call. At this moment, a huge creature rushed out of the fire. Seeing the millipede rushing out of the fire, Augustus' red vertical pupils quickly condensed. How come? How could this guy be fine? Wait, no. This guy's body seems to have shrunk, from over 100 meters to less than 50 meters. The strange red magic marks on his body also disappeared. So, is this phase 3? This boss's health bar seems a bit ridiculously long. After rushing out of the sea of fire, the millipede did not glance at the monster in the sky, but rushed into the forest without hesitation. There is something wrong with this flying monster. It is very wrong. It is a bit ridiculously strong. Now that the outer body has been destroyed, if it is injured again, it will be the main body. So, run away. This was the only thought left in the millipede's mind at the moment. This guy wants to escape. Seeing the millipede's thoughts at a glance, August without any hesitation vibrated the thick dragon wings spread out on his back, and the dragon body dived directly towards the millipede on the ground running towards the forest. August, let me help you. Kalea's chubby dragon wings flapped, and she swooped down. Angia followed silently at the end. The blow just now had drained 80% of the magic power in her body, but as a blue dragon, even if the magic power was gone, she still had strong hand-to-hand combat capabilities. Facts have proved that those who crawl on the ground cannot outrun those who fly in the sky. After a while, Augustus caught up with the millipede, and the dragon's body dived directly downwards. As if feeling the threat on its back, the millipede turned around and bit Augustus, who was swooping down. This bite is not empty. Bite it firmly, Augustus' dragon body and shoulders. The bite was so firm that the dragon's blood splattered everywhere. Augustus didn't pay any attention to the wound on his shoulder. The strong dragon claws directly grasped the sharp mandibles on both sides of the millipede's mouth and pulled hard. The millipede was torn off along with a piece of flesh and blood on his shoulder. Augustus didn't care at all about this injury. The dragon's kiss opened, covered with a layer of white plundering breath, and poured down directly. The dragon's breath poured into the millipede's mouth. The millipede struggled to twist and turn, but to no avail. With the influx of plundering breath, the black hard shell of the millipede immediately turned a layer of gray. "If you dare to hurt Augustus, I will beat you up," a young and sweet Lolita sound roared. Chapter 85. If Augustus is injured, there will be no dragon to grill the great Lady Kalea, so this big bug must pay the price. The chubby white dragon wings flapped, and Kalea swooped down and landed directly on the millipede's back. The white dragon's kiss opened and bit into the gray millipede's hard shell. Maybe he sensed danger. The millipede struggled even harder. August's pair of powerful claws firmly grasped the millipede's jaws to prevent the guy from breaking free. This big bug is so big that he has breathed out for quite some time, and yet he is still not dead. No, I can't break free. This red flying monster is even more powerful than him. You have to change positions quickly, otherwise your soul will be bitten by the white flying monster on your back. Damn it, what's going on with this white flying monster? With such a big body, it bites wherever its soul is hiding. The priest cursed in his heart. It was true that he could perfectly possess the millipede, but when he possessed it, his soul would also enter the millipede's body. The soul was his lifeblood, and if he was bitten, he would basically be dead. It's too late for the big transfer, but you can transfer the soul to one leg. Millipedes have hundreds or even thousands of legs. He doesn't believe that this white flying monster can accurately bite. Kalea opened her dragon kiss and bit it in one bite. But at this moment, Qianzu's body twisted violently, which also caused Kalea's bite position to shift directly from the original distance. Click! What was bitten was a leg. The gray and white hard shell had already lost its original defense, and it shattered like glass the moment it was bitten. A blue shadow appeared on the broken leg, which was the blue orc priest. His body was firmly connected to the broken leg of the millipede. No! The blue orc priest who was bitten out roared, his twisted face full of horror. How come? I obviously moved. Why did I happen to be bitten by this monster? Looking at the blue orc figure in the dragon's kiss, Kalea showed hesitation in her bright white vertical pupils. August Ao said that blue orcs cannot eat Ao. Should he relent? Although he didn't know what happened, Augustus knew that by fool must have bitten the blue orc's life gate. The soul was always one of the greatest weaknesses of all living things. Well done, Kalea. Drag him out. Ouch! The bright white vertical pupils condensed, and after squealing, Kalea began to pull. Woo! The dragon's head was raised high, and the soul of the blue orc connected to the severed limb was instantly stretched. But this thing was like a rubber band that could not be broken even if it was stretched. After discovering this, Kalea not only did not feel discouraged, but became even more serious. The chubby dragon wings spread out and flew directly into the sky. At this moment, a blue dragon shadow swooped down. It was Angia. Angia, who was flying down, didn't hesitate at all. She opened her dragon's kiss and bit the blue orc priest's soul and started to help Kalea pull up. Hiss! As if feeling the threat of death, the millipede started to resist again. But this time, instead of twisting its body, the two long mandibles turned over. The priest understood that only by repelling the largest red monster could he be able to escape and deal with the two smaller ones behind him. Augustus had always been on guard against the millipede's jaw. If he hadn't been unable to break it open, he would have chosen to break it off directly. Seeing the flip of his jaw, Augustus instantly understood that this guy was going to use the poisonous mist. Flame dragon body. Huh? Red flames emerged instantly and wrapped around the strong, fiery red dragon's body. Strength, constitution, defense, self-healing, elemental affinity. Feeling the all-round improvement of the dragon's body, August opened the dragon's kiss. This fulfilling sense of power made him very happy. The strong dragon claws pressed on the millipede's head exerted force, and the muscles on it bulged instantly. Boom! The terrifying force gave the millipede no time to react, and its entire head was directly pressed into the soil. The next second, the red soil turned into black, and this black color began to spread rapidly like a drop of ink dripping into clear water. Ouch! Kalea's childish roar sounded. The shiny white vertical pupils had already condensed into vertical lines, and a pair of chubby dragon wings started to flap wildly. Along with Kalea's exertion, Angia no longer held back and exploded with all her strength. The blue dragon wings flapped crazily like Kalea. The two dragons worked together, and the priest's soul, which was bitten by the dragon's kiss, began to stretch longer and longer, and the soul connected to the millipede's severed limb also became thinner and thinner. Soon there was only a thin thread left of the blue soul connected to it. Ouch! With another exertion of force, the soul connected to the severed limb was completely pulled out. The powerful force of inertia made both Angia and Kalea fly into the sky. The blue orc high priest who was pulled out began to dissipate in the air, exploding like fireworks and turning into blue light spots all over the sky. No! The roar was full of unwillingness, and the blue light spots in the sky began to dissipate. Almost at the same time, the millipede's body completely lost its movement. Upon discovering this, Augustus slowly let go of the strong dragon claws that were firmly pressing on the millipede's head. The flames wrapped around the fiery red dragon's body slowly extinguished, and the dragon's head was raised to look at the nearby land. The ground has completely turned black, covering an area of nearly a kilometer, and it will probably spread into the forest if it continues for a while. It is estimated that this area will remain dead for 180 years. This guy's poison is really terrifying. No wonder Time Apocalypse specially reminded himself to pay attention to this. If this guy were to release poisonous mist into the air, I'm afraid the whole area would be filled with poisonous mist, and the situation would definitely be reversed at that time. Ogu, we won. Kalea's pair of chubby dragon claws landed smoothly on the ground. The dragon arrived before the sound. Well, we won. Looking at the white idiot Augustus in front of him, he stretched out his big paw and directly touched the round white dragon's head. This battle ended so quickly. It can be said that it was thanks to this white idiot biting the priest's soul. Otherwise, who would have known how disgusting it was? Will there be another fourth stage of the game? While caressing the cute and lucky white fool, Augustus raised his head and looked at Angia, who was falling gracefully next to him. Just at this time, Angia also raised the dragon's head and looked at him. Their eyes met for less than 2 seconds before Angia looked away and looked at the dead millipede at August's feet. The meaning is obvious. It's time to divide the spoils. Chapter 86. This Angia is really a reality. However, it is not impossible to divide the stolen goods. The fiery red vertical pupils spread slightly. What should I ask Angia to do this time? Enjoying the caress of the warm paws, Kalea put her hind paws up and pushed them up. August's big paws are so warm, the bright white vertical pupils spread with joy. At this moment, a drop of red liquid dripped from her sight. After seeing what was dripping clearly, Kalea stopped using the warm paw on the top of the dragon's head. The round dragon's head slightly raised its gaze to look at August's shoulder. On August's shoulder, the horrific wound still existed, and a large piece of flesh and blood was torn off from it along with the dragon's scales. Augustus is injured. The round white dragon's head drooped down in front of August's shoulder. The dragon's kiss opened a gap, and Kalea spit out her pink tongue and licked the wound directly. August, who was concentrating on asking Angia to do something this time, turned around and felt the cold touch from the wound on his shoulder. It hurt a little at first, but slowly it seemed to stop hurting, which turns to comfort. Lowering the red dragon's head, he saw that it was idiot by licking the wound on his shoulder. As the ambergris saliva secreted from the big pink tongue was licked to the wound on the shoulder, frost quickly condensed on the wound. The dragon's blood stopped flowing out, and rapid healing began. At the same time, there is a light fragrance coming to the nose, which is very similar to the floral fragrance of jasmine. But compared to this fragrance, Augustus is more concerned about the fact that this white fool's ambergris actually has self-healing ability. It seems that the only person who can possess this ability is the rare talent of self-healing body. Self-healing body greatly improves the self-healing ability of the body. This ability advances with the advancement of strength. At the 10th level, it can be compared to an immortal body. It is a very rare blood talent. This talent can be awakened. It can be said that there are only a handful of giant dragon species. Every dragon species who awakens this talent will leave a legend in his plane. This white fool is really a lucky dragon. After a few licks, Kalea stopped because the wound on August's shoulder had begun to heal. August, you're injured. I helped you treat the wound. This is how I treat wounds. It's very effective, yeah. Thank you, Kalea. Looking at the lovely Kalea in front of him, August stretched out his paw and stroked Kalea hard again. His strong paw touched Kalea's round dragon head and shook her head, but she doesn't hate it at all. Withdrawing his claws, Augustus looked at the millipede with only 50 meters left in front of him. It's a pity that the ingredients have shrunk by half. The strong dragon claws stretched out to grasp the millipede's head and pulled it out. The dragon claws penetrated into the hard shell, and dark green liquid flowed out in an instant. Can this thing be eaten? This question couldn't help but arise in my mind. Forget it. Let's take it back first, and then dissect it to find the edible parts. If you can't eat it, just throw it away. Anyway, there are still 3 blue orc tribes left. The remaining 3 blue orc tribes cannot be poisonous like this. Let's go back. With a greeting, Augustus spread out a pair of wide dragon wings and flew directly to the mountain next to him. The distance to the top of the mountain was not far, and Augustus soon reached the top of the mountain. He released the millipede body from the dragon's claws and let it fall freely. Boom! A loud sound echoed throughout the area. Augustus calmed down and looked at the millipede on the ground. His eyes began to wander and finally settled on the joints under the millipede's head. At this, he took 2 steps forward and walked to the millipede. The strong dragon claw raised a claw and grabbed it. The gray and white hard shell had no defense in front of the sharp dragon claws, and it shattered a large area like glass. This time, there was no liquid flowing out of the broken area. Under the hard shell was crystal white meat, which looked very delicious. The dragon claw penetrated in, stirred a few times, and then stopped. Got it. The red dragon's kiss split in pleasure, and Augustus withdrew his big claw. In the strong dragon claws, he tightly grasps a small car-sized life crystal core that exudes a faint, dark green light. Feeling the fluctuations of divine power emitted by the life crystal core on the dragon's claws, the fiery red vertical pupils spread with joy. At this moment, a round white dragon head came close to the strong dragon claw holding the life crystal core. August, this looks delicious. Kalea's eyes seemed to be fixed on the core of life, unable to move at all. The bright white vertical pupils were full of desire, and the crystal dragon saliva began to draw directly along the dragon's kiss. Augustus glanced at Angia beside him. Although he was not as straightforward as Kalea, his eyes were still fixed on the crystal core. The big claws stretched out and rested on Kalea's round dragon head. Don't worry about it now. Kalea, you should be entering the growth stage after eating this. In this case, you won't be able to eat this. The slender and winding red dragon tail was raised, and the tip of the tail pointed at the place where the dragon's claw had broken it. Hearing August's words, Kalea looked along the tip of the tail and saw the white tender meat under the hard shell of the millipede. In an instant, more ambergris saliva poured out from the white dragon's kiss like a waterfall. Shed. A small pool of water quickly gathered under the round white dragon head. The scent of jasmine in the air also became extremely strong. I want to eat it all. Kalea raised her round dragon head and looked at August eagerly. Well, then let's not be in a hurry and come again and again. That's it, Kalea. You go back to where you were and find a piece of this guy's hard shell, and we'll cook hot pot. After we finish the hot pot, let's divide the life crystal core. What is hot pot? Well, it can make you eat deliciously. Ouch, I know. I'll go right away, by the way. Collect some things you think can be used as ingredients. In the Revelation, Kalea, this idiot, is known as the Dragon of Luck. So Augustus is very relieved to let this idiot out, and maybe he will bring back unexpected surprises again. Ouch, Kalea screamed twice, spread out a pair of chubby white dragon wings, and fluttered the dragon body into the sky. He looked away from the round dragon body flying away. Okay, now Idiot Boy has left. With red vertical eyes, he looked at Angia, who had been squatting beside him and being extremely quiet since the beginning. So what should I ask Angia to do this time? Sensing the evil look in August's eyes, Angia felt very calm. The worst she could do was dance for this guy a few more times, which was nothing. Chapter 87. Anyway, she is not the one who suffers. After dancing a few times for this big chip, in exchange for a life crystal core with divine power, she is the one who wins no matter what. You must know that divine power can directly help their dragon species advance to the next stage across time. It can be said that it is the most improved treasure for little dragons like them. Yes, that's it. You don't lose anything. Angia, let's dance first. This time, Augustus didn't even try to hide it. Several times? Angia is more straightforward. How many times does it take to give me the life core? Just one time is enough, but it must be done vividly, Otherwise, you will have to do it again if I am not satisfied. The blue vertical pupils were slightly condensed, and what Dachi said was a bit of a lie, but it was indeed a 5-color dragon. The hind paws stand upright to raise the dragon's body. The next second, Angia started to continue the dance steps from the last time. It's simple, but it seems to have endless magic, making the dragon feel happy when he sees it. This can be seen from the dragon's kiss that stretches from Augustus's mouth to the root of his mouth. At the same time, Kalea flattened out a pair of chubby dragon wings and landed smoothly in a dark land. As soon as Kalea landed, she saw at a glance the dark hard shell stuck in the ground in front of her, with most of it exposed. The bright white vertical pupils were focused, and Kalea ran up to the dark shell with 3 steps and 2 steps at a time. This should be the hard shell that August wants. The chubby white dragon claws began to dig into the soil. Within a few minutes, Kalea had completely dug out the dark hard shell from the soil. If Augustus were here, he would definitely sigh that this thing is really a natural hot pot. The hard shell is square and semicircular in shape, with a thin layer of hard shell blocking it on the left and right sides, like a rectangular pot. The chubby dragon claws picked up the dark hard shell. At this moment, the golden scale in the center of Kalea's round dragon head once again bloomed with golden brilliance. The white dragon wings spread out. Ouch! Noticing a flash of white in her peripheral vision, Kalea turned her round dragon head and looked over. As if he didn't expect the evil dragon to turn his head, the little guy who was hiding behind a small tree with only half of his head sticking out was also stunned. This is a little thing that looks almost like a human, except that her body is very mini, only about the size of a baby's palm, and she has a delicate and mini appearance. There is a pair of thin, transparent wings on her back, and there is a hint of light in the dense lines on it. The white light is flowing, and the ears are pointed, small and cute. Elemental elves. The bright white vertical pupils spread out in an instant. It's Long's favorite elemental spirit. At this moment, the crystal dragon's saliva couldn't help but drip down from the white dragon's kiss. Yeah, as if he had reacted and noticed that the ferocious dragon was looking at him and started drooling. The elemental elf let out an exclamation. The small wings on his back flapped rapidly, and he quickly flew deep into the forest. Small white light spots were constantly falling on the flapping little wings. Kalea, who had already entered the hunting state, reacted very quickly. The spread dragon wings flapped, and the dragon body dived at low altitude close to the ground to start the pursuit. His eyes were fixed on the elemental elf flying in front, a pair of chubby dragon wings constantly flapping. If you encounter a larger tree, avoid it, and break the smaller one directly. Kacha kacha. Feeling the aura of the evil dragon getting closer and closer behind him, the pair of small wings on the elemental elf's back suddenly flapped more diligently. Wow! A river appeared ahead. The moment the elemental elf saw the river, his eyes lit up. Home, finally home. She is a water elemental elf, and the river is her home. Plunging into the river, the white dress on the elemental elf instantly turned blue. Her long white hair also turned blue, and her 2 calves turned into a fish tail. Pfft! Kalea also jumped into the river. Unlike the elemental elves who entered the water gracefully, Kalea jumped into the water like a depth bomb, and the water splashed high. The moment Kalea entered the water, she locked onto the elemental spirit swimming in front of her. Although the appearance has changed a bit, she can still recognize that this is the elf. The dragon's tail and wings flapped at the same time, and Kalea started chasing again. Following the water elemental spirit, he swam toward the depths. After passing through an underwater undercurrent, a blue barrier suddenly appeared in front of him. The elemental elf's fish tail swung hard and sank directly into the barrier. Kalea, who saw this scene, rushed in without any hesitation. Ouch! The moment she entered the barrier, Kalea was confused because there was no water in the barrier. The dragon body fell rapidly, and the chubby dragon wings tried to unfold, but it seemed that it was too late. The round dragon body rolled down the slope and rolled down for about 5 or 6 minutes before finally reaching the flat ground. Bang! Kalea stopped after hitting a huge mushroom tree and collapsed on the ground. The chubby dragon body sat upright on the ground. The round dragon head kept shaking its head, and a pair of crystal white vertical pupils kept turning. Ouch, 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 I'm so dizzy. The round dragon head quickly swung left and right. After shaking it for a while, feeling that the dizzy feeling dissipated a lot, Kalea then took stock of this place. Mushrooms, such big mushrooms. The bright white vertical pupils spread with joy. This is a forest of white mushrooms. These mushrooms grow very large. The lowest one is about 1 meter, and the highest one is 10 meters high. The round dragon head came close to a mushroom that was only about 1 meter long. Sniff, sniff, these mushrooms are so fragrant. The white dragon's kiss opened and bit into it. A fresh fragrance spread in the dragon's kiss, and the sparkling white vertical pupils suddenly spread with joy. It's so delicious, that's why there are so many mushrooms in sight. The round white dragon head shook left and right twice. There are still more. The round dragon head shook left and right again, shaking for more than 10 times before stopping. This time, everything in sight returned to normal. Mushrooms are delicious, but I feel a little dizzy after eating them. By the way, Augustao, these mushrooms are so delicious. I want to take some back for Augustao and Angerio to try. Just do it. Kalea stood up from the ground and started picking mushrooms. Less than a few minutes. I can't pretend anymore. Kalea's bright white vertical pupils stared quietly at a pair of chubby dragon claws that were already filled. Since I can't hold it anymore, I have no choice but to go back first. The chubby dragon wings on her back spread out and Kalea flew towards the water barrier above. There is no need to worry about the way she came. She can follow the scent all the way back. Wow! A round white dragon head poked out of the river. Chapter 88. On top of the mountain, the 50-meter-long millipede has been dismembered, and its hard shell is used as a dinner plate with piles of white tender meat piled high. As for other parts, they are inedible and have been thrown to the bottom of the mountain. Maybe a few lucky monsters will win the lottery, but it's none of the dragon's business. August raised the red dragon head. Wu also watched, and the ingredients were processed. Logically speaking, Bai Fool should also be back. At this moment, a pure white figure appeared in the sky. It was as fat as a ball and had a round dragon body. Who else could it be besides Kalea? Finally back, I can set up the pot and light the fire. Ask me, Kong Kong, to ask me what ingredients I have brought back to me this time. Who? The fat hind paws landed first, and Kalea landed smoothly in an upright position. Augustus looked at what the white fool was holding in his chubby dragon claws. Holding a jet-black hardshell in both claws, it is the millipede's second-stage explosion equipment, and there are some inside the jet-black hardshell. White? Mushrooms? Isn't this thing poisonous? August, I'm back. Can you eat now? Kalea put down the dark shell in her paws and looked at Augustus with her bright white vertical pupils. She was hungry. Well, we can eat it right away. In reply, Augustus looked at the mushrooms that Kalea brought back. What is this, Kalea? White mushrooms, Augustus. Yes, it's no use asking. Why do you really ask this stupid idiot this question? Doesn't it mean giving it for free? I mean you found it there. The bright white vertical pupils were slightly condensed, and Kalea put the round dragon head in front of August. August, I'm telling you, I just met an elemental elf, but I didn't catch up with him. I found these mushrooms by following him. Elemental elves? Augustus' fiery red eyes narrowed. Elemental elves are good things, and are the favorite of their 5 color dragons. Whether they are used as desserts or as pet elemental elves, they are a good choice. This white idiot actually encountered one. It's a pity that this white idiot didn't seem to catch up. Met him there. The river is wailing. After hearing Kalea's words, Augustus raised his dragon head and looked at the branching river in the forest below the mountain. Time enlightenment. You learned about an elemental elf from Kalea. Maybe you should go to the river and have a look. The appearance of this elemental elf can ease your biggest worries. The biggest concern. The red vertical pupils condensed into vertical lines in an instant. His biggest concern so far is knowing that this is just a small subplane, and it is also a subplane with an owner. A subplane with an owner is most likely a breeding farm, used to provide various resources to its owner, etc. If you think about it carefully, the way these blue orcs control their belief in gods seems to be related to the white cat. Then these gods of faith are not also prey tamed by the master of the plane. Augustao, the chubby white dragon's claw stretched out and gently pushed the red dragon's head. Feeling the faint coolness coming from the dragon's head, Augustus came back from his thoughts. The red vertical pupils looked at Kalea, who was looking at him eagerly in front of her. For some reason, the haze in her heart instantly dissipated a lot. Why are you in a daze, Augustus? Although Kalea didn't say it clearly, Augustus could read the word hungry from the white fool's eyes. He stretched out his big paw and stroked the round white dragon head. Well, let's get started. Let's eat hot pot today. Hot pot, ah. The chubby white dragon claws clapped together. The more you know, the greater your worries. But looking at the white idiot in front of him, Augustus felt his heart slowly calm down. He couldn't be anxious. Even if he was anxious, it would be useless. Let's fill our stomachs first, and then let these two guys advance to young dragons. Going to the mushroom field discovered by Kalea in this way will also give them a little more self-preservation ability. His intuition told him that that place was not simple, just like the time revelation said. August stretched out his dragon claw and picked up the thick black shell that Kalea brought back. Yes, it was square and shaped like a pot. It was indeed a natural hot pot. I didn't make a mistake. He picked up a few stones and piled them together to create a stove and put the pot on it. Dragonclaw first fished out the white mushroom inside. Looking at the mushrooms in his paws, Augustus picked up one and threw it directly into the dragon's kiss. Awu, dragon kiss chewed twice. In an instant, a scent of resurrected life filled the dragon's kiss, and flowers and grass blossomed in sight. The delicious taste makes the dragon have endless aftertaste. Fox, please do not imitate. Wild mushrooms are poisonous and cannot be eaten. The red vertical pupils that spread with pleasure slowly condensed. August looked at the white mushroom in his paw again. Well, it's a bit poisonous. But compared with this weak toxin, the delicious taste is endless aftertaste. Unlike the chilly red fruits last time, the mushrooms this time were crispy, numb, and fragrant after eating, a bit like Sichuan peppercorns. If it works, August can feel that his magic power has increased a bit. It would not be an exaggeration to say that this mushroom was tailor-made for a master like him. The red dragon's head turned and looked at Angia, who was lying obediently on the ground next to her. Angia, bring some water and fill this thick shell. As he spoke, August stretched out his big paw and tapped the edge of the thick shell twice. Dang dang, the sound is crisp and clear, and it sounds like a good shell. Angia glanced at Augustus, then looked at Hardshell. The blue dragon's head moved slightly. Augustus has promised her share of the life crystal core. Although it is a big deal, Augustus will indeed give her what he promised. She has nothing to worry about, so she can't advance. Urgent. Let's fill our stomachs first, and this is the 5-ringed monster meat. Eat. Must eat. The blue vertical pupils condensed slightly, and a blue casting ring condensed in front of the blue dragon head, and then a water column spurted out and fell steadily into the thick black shell. Soon the water was almost filling the thick shell. Just as August was about to speak, he saw Angia cancel the magic on her own. Okay, let me save my breath. The red vertical pupils condensed, the casting ring was constructed. The strong dragon claw grabbed the flame spear and threw it directly under the thick shell. Then it's time to wait. The flame spear condensed by the flame gun was so powerful that the water began to boil and bubble within a few minutes. Seeing the water start to bubble, Augustus directly threw down the mushroom in his paws. The moment the mushrooms came into contact with the boiling water, they melted directly. The fused white mushrooms seemed to be spreading when the fuel met water, and soon the pot of soup turned directly into a milky white color. Chapter 89. August, your color has changed. It's okay, let me try first. After Augustus finished speaking, he stretched out his paw and picked up a piece of white tender meat from the plate next to him and put it into the soup with his paw. The water is boiling, and the tender white meat looks cooked just by rinsing it. The tender meat that has been rinsed looks crystal clear, and it is stained with milky white soup. The red dragon's kiss opened, and the tender meat was thrown in. August, hashtag, chew well, it's a little numb. The deliciousness of the mushrooms and the spiciness of the soup. There is no conflict between the two when they come together, but rather an indescribable and wonderful combination. As for whether it tastes good or not, you'll know by looking at August's reaction. The red vertical pupils spread with joy, and the tail behind him unconsciously twitched slightly. Tasty. It tasted better than anything he had ever eaten. This idiot brought me the best seasoning again. Auguseo, isn't it delicious? Kalea came close to August, her pair of bright white vertical pupils full of expectation, so cute that people couldn't bear to be deceived. I don't feel good. After answering Kalea righteously, August stretched out his claws to grab a handful of tender meat and poured it into the pot. Isn't it delicious? Kalea stared blankly at the cauldron in front of her. Angia, who was next to her, had already silently stretched out her dragon claws to imitate Augustus in shabu-shabu. At first glance, these big crumbs are just for fools. If they don't taste good, why would you grab a handful of them a second time? After rinsing his paws in the cauldron, Augustus looked at the little fool sitting next to him. At this moment, his conscience, which was not much left, stung slightly. This idiot just likes to eat. It seems a bit too much to lie to this idiot about food. Kalea opens her mouth. Ouch! Hearing August's words, Kalea subconsciously opened a white dragon kiss. I have been listening to August's words recently, and my body has almost formed a conditioned reflex. The newly opened white dragon kiss was immediately filled with a ball of white tender meat. Ouch! Kalea subconsciously prepared to spit out the unpalatable meat in her mouth, but immediately her bright white vertical pupils began to spread with pleasure. Tasty. Delicious. Kalea. After chewing a few mouthfuls and swallowing all the tender meat in the dragon's kiss, Kalea, who was sitting next to August, raised her round dragon head and looked at August without blinking. August AO, I want to AO again. Rinse it yourself. Ouch, the young and sweet Lolita sound is full of energy. After squealing twice, Kalea also learned how to cook meat with 2 dragons, and her speed could be said to be getting more and more proficient. On the top of the mountain, 3 dragons of different colors sat around a large pot, simmering meat. An hour later, all the tender meat was eaten up. Not only that, even the pot used to cook the meat was licked back and forth by Kalea. After eating and drinking enough, the 3 dragons lay side by side with their round bellies. Blue, red, white. The giant dragon's digestive ability is very good, and its originally round belly deflated within a few minutes. Feeling that he was almost digested, Augustus, who was lying on the ground, turned his head and looked to the side. His eyes happened to meet a pair of blue vertical pupils. Augustus had noticed Angia's gaze from the very beginning. He knew why Angia was staring at him, because he wanted to separate the life crystal core. Just after being fed by me, I started to miss my things. This crumb Angia is just crumbs. The long and winding red dragon tail extends to the front of the dragon head. Hanging on the slender dragon tail is a dark green life crystal core belonging to a millipede. This thing has been hanging on his tail since the beginning. Stretch out your dragon claws to grab the life crystal core. Ouch, Augustus. This smells so good. Well, these are familiar words. Augustus was not surprised at all that Kalea would say this. This idiot would basically say this whenever he met someone he wanted to eat. The 3 of us hunted this millipede together, so this will be your share. Is there also Kalea's? Yes, both. Angia's blue vertical pupils condensed slightly. This big crumb. She obviously did that weird dance to get the assignment. Augustus chose to ignore the piercing glances from beside him. His eyes were fixed on the life crystal core on his claws. After eating this life crystal core, you 2 should advance to the stage of baby dragon. However, we don't have a lair now, so you 2 have to prepare a place before advancing. Where is it? Well, this top of the mountain is quite good. You 2 can dig down from the top of the mountain and dig a cave as a place for advancement. After listening to Augustus's words, Angia felt that what this guy said made sense. Growth and advancement were not strength advancements. If the growth and advancement were interrupted, it would be a very fundamental loss for the young dragon. Although it was still you can continue to advance, but it will definitely not be as big as the growth you got from the first advancement. So a safe cave is necessary. The blue dragon claws held up the dragon's body, and Angia walked directly to the center of the mountain top, obviously preparing to dig. Angia has already taken action. Augustus turned his head and looked to the side. His eyes met a pair of crystal white vertical pupils, and Augustus saw a look of desire in these white vertical pupils. I will separate the crystal core only after digging the cave. The slender and sinuous fiery red dragon tail extended to the front, curled up with the life crystal core and retracted back. Does that mean you can eat delicious food after you dig it? Right. Ouch, after squealing twice, Kalea turned over, but perhaps because her body shape was too round. Her round white dragon body rolled several times before stopping. After stopping, Kalea's chubby dragon claws had propped up the dragon's body and ran towards Angia with her claws, joining the procession of digging stones. The rock formation was nothing in front of the claws of the 2 young dragons with the blood of the Dragon King. The efficiency of the 2 dragons is very high. After lying there for about 10 minutes, Augustus heard Kalea's call. Ogu, we have dug it. Hear Kalea's cry. Lying on the flat ground at the top of the mountain, Augustus slowly opened his eyes with his belly turned upward. So fast, these 2 guys are quite efficient. The dragon's body turned over, its claws held it up, and the dragon's claws moved forward, walking to the cave dug by the 2 dragons with the pace of a supervisor. It was a fairly big pothole, about 30 meters wide. It was obvious that these 2 guys had figured it out. The red vertical pupils spread with joy. Very satisfied with this new dragon nest, Augustus. The cave is dug downwards on a slope. The digging is not too deep, about 50 meters. Although it is not too deep, it is enough to be used as a transitional dragon's nest. Because he was looking for an exit from the plane, Augustus had no plans to settle down in one place for a long time. Chapter 90. Not to mention that now he seems to have found the place about the exit of the plane. Yes, it is the mushroom forest discovered by Kalea. Although the revelation is very obscure, he has an intuition in his heart that there is a high probability of that place and the plane. Export related. Feeling the gazes of Angia and Kalea beside him, Augustus slowly brought the life crystal core hooked to his tail in front of him. The dragon's claws hold the core of life. The sharp dragon claw lightly touched the middle of the crystal core. Click. The core of life is accurately divided into two parts from the middle position. The slender dragon tail catches half of it, and the dragon claw catches half of it and taps gently from the middle again. Click. One half of the life crystal core was once again split in two from the middle. Holding two life crystal core dragon claws, throw them left and right. Looking at the thrown life crystal core, Kalea directly raised her thick and fat hind paws and opened her white dragon kiss to catch the life crystal core. Click. After chewing twice, her throat swelled, and Kalea swallowed the life crystal core in one gulp. The round dragon head looked at Augustus. Auguseo is delicious. Before she could even utter the last word, Kalea's eyelids closed, and her round dragon body fell directly into the cave. The chubby dragon body rolled directly towards the bottom of the cave like a ball. Boom. A few seconds later, there was a huge crash from the bottom of the cave. Huh. The sound of even breathing came from the bottom of the cave. Withdrawing his gaze, Augustus turned his head and looked at Angia beside him. To be honest, he wanted to see Angia be embarrassed more than he wanted to see Kalea be embarrassed. After all, it is reasonable for Kalea to do this, but if she disdains Angia, it is an overturn and is extremely interesting. This big crumb. Angia looked away, and she could see the obvious look of anticipation in her red vertical pupils. But she is not Kalea. How could she make such a stupid mistake? Huh? The dragon wings covered with thick blue scales spread out and fluttered, and Angia almost slid down the cave floor. Watching Angia's dragon body disappear into the cave, Augustus withdrew his gaze with a hint of regret. It's a pity. If Kalea had eaten later, Angia might have been the one who fell down. If that were the case, the picture would be particularly interesting. In less than a minute, the snores coming from the depths of the dragon's nest turned into two, one after another, as if they were playing each other's rhythm. Okay, go to sleep. Augustus turned the dragon's body. Time pressure unfolds directly. It is a passive talent anyway, and has no consumption. This can also prevent some guys who want to die from disturbing you. The dragon body lay down at the entrance of the cave. The dragon's tail wrapped around the life crystal core stretched out in front of him and flicked, and the life crystal core was accurately thrown into the dragon's kiss. Chew twice and swallow directly. The moment he swallowed it, a huge wave of sleepiness came over him. I'm so sleepy, no wonder idiot I couldn't resist. This life crystal core is indeed powerful enough. With a strong sense of sleepiness, Augustus slowly closed his eyes. He is also going to sleep, but this time he will not advance. Compared to advancing, Augustus feels that his foundation can be improved a little more, and he can use this divine power crystal core to strengthen his magic power and dragon body. In terms of basics, he can be considered weak. Huh. After two grunts came from the cave, Augustus at the entrance of the cave would respond with the previous one. Time passed like this day by day, and about 2 months later, at the entrance of the cave, Augustus sat on the ground, holding a thick shell pot in front of the dragon body. The water in the pot was already boiling, and colorful mushrooms were boiling on the water, which turned the soup directly into 7 colors. He collected these mushrooms himself from the forest. As for the taste, I can only say it was average, not as delicious as the white mushrooms Kalea brought back. He grabbed a cut piece of monster and rinsed it in the pot until the meat was dyed in 7 colors, and then threw it directly into the dragon's kiss. While eating, his red vertical pupils glanced into the cave. Why haven't this idiot and Angia woke up yet? Without by fool to look for ingredients, the meat would not be fragrant. Angia poured water into the pot without the crumbs. Every time, she had to run down the mountain to the river to fill the water, which was very troublesome. Rustle, at this moment, a subtle rustling sound came from the cave. Hearing this slight movement, Augustus' claws that were rinsing the meat paused, and the dragon's head turned to look into the cave. The elemental aura that continued to emit disappeared. The ice elements are dissipating. At this moment, a white dragon shadow crawled out of the cave. It's Kalea. Although he has lost a lot of weight, the dragon's body does not look so round. But it was indeed Kalea. Seeing Augustus sitting at the entrance of the cave, Kalea's bright white vertical pupils expanded slightly. August AO equals there is food to eat. The dragon's claws moved quickly. It didn't take a moment before Kalea rushed in front of August. Auguseo, I'm hungry, looking at the white fool in front of him who has lost a lot of weight. Well, he saw it. This white idiot is really hungry and has lost weight. The growth and advancement of dragon species will consume a lot of fat. It is understandable that they are hungry and lose weight. This is not surprising. With how much this white idiot can eat, Augustus believes that this white idiot will be able to regain his mellow state in a few days. In terms of changes, there is not much change. The dragon body has grown a little longer, reaching 10 meters. This is an advancement from a young dragon to a young dragon. Kalea opens her mouth. Ouch! Kalea happily opened a white dragon kiss. The meat that August had just rinsed was stuffed directly into Kalea's dragon kiss. Ouch, it's delicious. Then rinse it yourself. There's still plenty of meat. Ouch! Kalea happily walked to the cauldron, grabbed the slices of meat next to it and started to rinse it. This idiot is not picky about food. One swept toward the cave. Now that idiot has woken up, he must be able to get rid of Angia quickly. In fact, this is indeed the case. After eating with Bai Fool for 3 consecutive days, I watched Bai Fool grow back into a round shape little by little. On the 4th day, the elements in the cave dispersed, and within a few minutes, Angia walked out of the cave. Unlike Kalea, Angia came out skinny, obviously going crazy with hunger. Without saying anything, she walked out of the cave and threw herself directly on a piece of raw meat to eat. After chewing off a large piece of raw meat, Angia stopped eating the raw meat and started to pour the meat into the pot like Kalea. But the moment he saw the colorful soup in the pot, a trace of hesitation appeared in his blue vertical pupils. This hesitation was quickly dispelled by Kalea's demonstration. Augustus didn't speak. He just lay aside and quietly watched Angia and Kalea eating. Chapter 91. After they recovered, it was time to go to the place where Kalea found the mushroom. I ate colorful hot pot for about 2 days. Angia's condition has almost recovered. The red vertical pupils stared at the white fool who was still lying in front of the hot pot, cooking the hot pot. He was almost eating into a ball, but the white fool was still eating. Kalea. Ouch! Kalea, who was rinsing the meat slices, raised her round dragon head and looked at Augustus, who called her name with a pair of crystal harmless and cute vertical pupils. Do you remember the mushroom forest you found? Remember? Ooh, underwater. Underwater again? Augustus was stunned for a moment, but quickly reacted and looked at Kalea seriously. This white idiot seems to have a connection with the river every time he has good luck. He is really the god of luck in the river. Okay, then Kalea, take us there, and we'll pick some white mushrooms and bring them back to cook hot pot. Hot pot. The bright white vertical pupils spread quickly. Seeing the look of this white fool, Augustus knew that these words had a great effect. As long as it can be linked to delicious food, this idiot will always be full of motivation. Ouch! Then I'll lead the way. Let's pick a lot of mushrooms and cook hot pot. As she spoke, Kalea made a lot of gestures with her pair of chubby white dragon claws. Let's go, Kalea. August looked towards the river below, hoping that there really was what he was looking for in the mushroom forest that Kalea said. As long as he leaves this secondary plane with his own master, Augustus has the confidence to stand at the top of the species little by little with his own bloodline. Ouch! The meat in the claws was fed into dragon kiss and eaten, and Kalea fell to the ground with all 4 claws. Then follow me. The chubby white dragon wings spread out, and Kalea turned back to the round dragon head and looked at August. Augustus gently moved the dragon's head, and at the same time glanced at Angia beside him. Angia had already propped up the dragon's body and was looking at him. Huh! After receiving the response, Kalea unfolded her dragon wings and flew out. Let's go, Angia. After saying hello, Augustus felt his back sink as soon as he unfolded his dragon wings. Apparently a certain dragon climbed up. Ignoring it, Augustus continued to spread his dragon wings and flew out. Lying on August's back, Angia glanced at the red dragon head looking forward. This big chip didn't pay attention here. The blue vertical pupils expanded slightly in an instant, and a gap opened in the dragon's kiss. A clenched right paw spread out. Inside lay a piece of coke. Hold the charcoal against the fiery dragon scale and start writing. 1 horizontal stroke. 1 horizontal stroke. Soon a big word, CI, was written in dragon language. Appreciating her masterpiece, Angia happily broke the dragon's kiss. If possible, she wanted to use magic to write it, so it would not disappear easily, but the risk of being detected by Augustus was also the highest. Wow! At this moment, there was a huge sound of entering the water. The water flow instantly submerged the dragon's body. Out of instinct, Angia subconsciously stretched out her 2 paws and hugged her neck, covered with fiery red dragon scales. What is Angia doing? Why are you hugging my neck so well? August was a little uncomfortable having his neck held. Just when August was about to warn Angia not to push her too far, there was a light touch on her back, and then a slender blue dragon body swam out from beside her and followed Kalea, who was leading the way. This is Angia. Augustus could only swing his dragon tail and follow quickly. After swimming underwater for about 10 minutes, an underwater passage leading to the ground finally appeared in front of me. Not long after following Kalea into the underwater passage, a water curtain appeared in front of her. Kalea flew in first, followed by Angia. August finally followed and flew into the water curtain. Ouch! As soon as August entered the waterway, he heard Kalea's exclamation, and then a feeling of weightlessness came from the dragon body. Under instinctive reaction, he quickly unfolded the dragon wings, and the weightlessness of the dragon body disappeared instantly. Glancing at Angia, who was also standing next to her with her wings spread out, Augustus lowered his head and looked down at the white fool rolling down the slope. This idiot must have come here for the second time. How could he still get out? Feeling surprised in his heart, Augustus took stock of this strange environment while descending. As for Kalea, if the dragon's seed coat is rough and fleshy, rolling it around a few times will be fine. Red vertical pupils looked around. Just like Kalea said, this is indeed a giant white mushroom forest. The location they entered was a water curtain barrier. Under the barrier was a slope, and Kalea rolled down the slope. This underground space is so large that it seems to have no end at a glance. The towering white mushrooms are more than 10 meters high like big trees, and the mushroom umbrellas are even branched. The dragon's claw landed smoothly. Augustus stood upright and looked at the white mushroom tree more than 10 meters high in front of him. He stretched out his claws and picked a branched mushroom umbrella directly from the mushroom tree. The dragon's kiss opened and he threw it in, chewed it a few times, and then swallowed it. A small mushroom less than 2 meters long was fed into the dragon's kiss through the long and winding dragon tail, and he chewed it a few times before swallowing it. Summary: in terms of function, both big mushrooms and small mushrooms have the same effect. They both increase the magic value, but in terms of taste, the small mushrooms taste more delicious. Confirming the harmlessness of these mushrooms, Augustus turned his head to the right and looked at the white fool who was already tiptoeing hard to pick mushrooms not far away. Kalea. Ouch! Kalea, who was about to pick a forked mushroom umbrella, stopped and looked at Augustia, who called her. What's wrong, Augustus? Don't pick these big mushrooms from the trees. Pick the small mushrooms on the ground. They taste better. I got it. Seeing Kalea picking up a small mushroom on the ground, Augustus didn't care. The red dragon head faces deep into the mushroom forest. Time to get down to business. Time enlightenment. You have found this mushroom forest hidden under the river. Deep in the center of this mushroom forest is the desire you want to find. It's this hint again. So there really is a plain exit in this mushroom forest, right? Angia. Keep an eye on Kalea. Oh, Angia, who was munching on a mushroom tree, raised the dragon's head and responded casually. These white mushrooms can enhance her magic power, so she must eat more. Looking away from Angia, who was chewing the mushrooms, Augustus, who couldn't wait long enough, spread out his dragon wings and flew to the top of the mushroom forest and began to fly towards the depths. To be honest, he didn't care much about these mushrooms. The biggest use of these mushrooms was that they tasted better and were suitable for cooking hot pot. As for the increased magic power, it's just a drop in the bucket. It's just a bonus. Chapter 92. Call. Not here yet? Looking at the seemingly endless mushroom forest, Augustus, who had been flying for about 10 minutes, wondered whether he was flying in the wrong direction. Could it be that I was flying in the wrong direction? Time enlightenment. Fly to the right wing. The revelation was short and easy to understand. The dragon's wings flapped, and the dragon's body turned in the air and continued flying. In less than 3 or 2 minutes, a clearing appeared in front, and a huge silver-white sphere floated quietly above the clearing. The moment he saw the sphere, Augustus paused in the air. Boom! The dragon's heart jumped violently at this moment. Huh! 2 flames spurted out from the 2 large nostrils on the red dragon's head. The breath of space. Time enlightenment. This is the exit location of the plane you have been thinking about. Passing through this silver sphere, you can leave this subplane. The revelation of time will guide the time dragon on the most appropriate path. The red dragon head was raised, facing the top of the underground cave. Ho! The deep dragon roar resounded throughout the underground cave and spread out. Almost at the same time, Kalea and Angia each stopped their movements after hearing the dragon's roar. Kalea, who was holding a bunch of small mushrooms in her claws, raised her round dragon head and looked in the direction of the sound. Augustus is calling him. Huh? The chubby white dragon wings on her back spread out and Kalea flew directly towards the direction of the sound. At the same time, Angia also spread out a pair of dragon wings and flew up. Augustus landed in the open space below, and after carefully studying the silver light floating in the air in front of him for a while, he lost interest. This is just a plain exit, nothing to see. Fortunately, the two dragons didn't keep him waiting long. Within about 10 minutes, two wind sounds came from above his head. The moment he heard the sound of the wind, Augustus raised his dragon head and looked upward with red vertical pupils. One white and one blue baby dragon descended in front of him from above. Augustea, what is this? Kalea, who had just landed, couldn't help but asked out of curiosity, her pair of bright white vertical pupils eagerly looking at the silver sphere in front of her. A door to another dimension. It was not Augustus who answered Kalea, but Angia. After answering Kalea's doubts, Angia looked at Augustus. Do you want to go to another dimension through this space door? Yes, you should have noticed. This plane is not normal. Looking into Angia's eyes, Augustus believed that Angia's intelligence must have noticed the abnormality in this subplane. The blue dragon's head moved slightly, and she did have a guess in her heart. The plane they were in was just a subplane, and it seemed to be a subplane with an owner. Everything in this subplane seemed to be planned clearly. Yes, this place is like a huge breeding farm. Crystals, warcraft, blue orcs, gods of faith. Everything seems to be used to support those gods of faith in the end. Who treats those who believe in gods as domestic animals? Just start harvesting when the time is right. This subplane is a training ground? There was a hint of surprise in the red vertical pupils, deliberately trying to show off just to hear what Angia had guessed. By the way, I'll fill in what I didn't guess and mock Angia. Well, yes, this plane is a training ground, so we have to leave this subplane as soon as possible. Angia's pair of blue vertical pupils still looked untroubled, but in fact she was surprised. She could guess that these were problems of talent. So what about Augustus? What does this guy who can't even cast magic rely on? Rely on that brain full of muscles? Okay, it's time for us to leave this plane. Although she was very surprised, Angia still chose to agree. August is right. This subplane is the training ground for others. There are 3 more wolves in the shepherd's pasture. What will the shepherd do? She thought that she would most likely pick up a sword and kill the wolf first. Beings who can possess a secondary plane are definitely not weak in terms of strength, and they are not an opponent that the 3 young dragons can deal with yet. Kalea stared at the silver ball of light in front of her. What are Augusteo and Angiao talking about? I don't understand, but Augustus said he wanted to leave. The bright white vertical pupils were slightly condensed. I'll follow August. After hearing by Fool's words, August stretched out his big paw and directly touched the round dragon's head. Well, my love for this idiot is not in vain. Now that the opinions have been unified. Okay, let's go. Augustus took the lead in taking his hind paws, and all 3 dragons stood upright. Kalea and Angia on the left also stepped forward with their back paws. The 3 dragons moved forward side by side. The moment they came into contact with the silver light group, a dazzling silvery white light lit up, and the 3 young dragons disappeared. The dazzling silver light made Augustus close his thick eyelids. This silver light came and went as quickly as it came. When I opened my eyes again, a magnificent and towering hall came into view. No, this seems to be the wrong position. This place. The red vertical pupils quickly condensed. There is a small round table in the front of the hall. On the small round table are exquisite snacks and tea. A girl who looks about 15 or 16 years old is sitting on the chair. The girl's skin is fair, and her long silver white hair hangs quietly behind her like silk. The girl is wearing a white dress. The peaks are high and bulging. They are not very big, but they are very shaped. She didn't wear any jewelry, and the dress was cool, but this girl exuded a noble temperament all the time, which made people unable to feel the slightest sense of blasphemy. The girl's eyes were very calm, and she did not show the slightest surprise at the appearance of the 3 of them, as if she had expected all this. On the round table in front of the girl, a white cat squatted quietly, watching them quietly with its round eyes. Isn't this white cat the one in the Revelation? Dragon's heart trembled heavily. Oh, it's over. This time, I delivered the goods myself. Wait, that's not right. The revelation of time should not be a trap. You must know that the revelation given by time revelation will only be the most suitable path in the current time. The almost confused brain regained some composure at this moment. August observed carefully and found that neither the white cat nor the girl seemed to show the slightest malice toward them. The look in their eyes was more of an appraising look. This kind of gaze is like looking at a junior. White. Augustus subconsciously glanced at Kalea beside him. White dragons can master the art of transformation when they reach adulthood, and can change their form into other races. Isn't this girl Kalea's mother? Chapter 93. Kalea stared blankly at the person and cat sitting on the chair in front of her. The bright white vertical pupils spread slightly unconsciously, and some mushrooms in his claws fell to the ground without paying attention. The chubby white dragon's claws were raised and pointed at the girl sitting on the chair, and the round dragon's head looked at Augustus. Aguseo, hot pot shabu shabu. The moment he heard this, the strong red dragon claws and the slender blue dragon claws pressed down on Kalea's round dragon head almost at the same time. Boom! Kalea was pressed to the floor by this huge force before she could barely react to what was going on. The ground immediately shattered due to the force it shouldn't have endured. You even cook hot pot. I think you white fool looks like a hot pot. Ouch! Kalea, you are not allowed to speak from now on. This sentence is very effective. Although it is a little silly, this white fool is not without merits. She is obedient enough. After Augustus finished speaking, Kalea immediately stopped crying. Holding down the white fool, Augustus carefully looked at the girl sitting on the chair. This girl gave him a very strange feeling. How strange was it? Let's put it this way. He didn't even dare to use the time revelation in front of this girl. I always feel like I will be discovered. A young time dragon whose bloodline has returned to its ancestors. Look how rare it is. The girl sitting on the chair raised her lips in a slight arc, seeing the girl's smile. Augustus secretly breathed a sigh of relief and smiled. It seemed that the other party didn't mean to be angry. What August failed to notice was that from the beginning, the girl's eyes only glanced at Angier and Kalea and then moved away. After that, the girl's eyes were fixed on him from beginning to end, never moved away. The girl sitting on the chair raised her palm, and an invisible magic thread extended from the girl's palm. The thread wrapped around the girl's slender wrist, and then extended to the white cat's right front paw. Hello, my name is Sylph Nolan. I am a wizard. I comply with the contract I made with your parents. I am also your caregiver, and this is my familiar Dillies. The girl's voice was very gentle. Listening to the girl's self-introduction, August's pair of red vertical pupils quickly began to focus. Wizard. This is not an ordinary inauguration. This is an advanced spell-casting civilization, a whole. There are very few records about wizards in the dragon's inheritance, but the inheritance clearly describes that the wizard civilization is a very dangerous existence. Due to special reasons, it is difficult for me to speak in my true body, so I will use my familiar to talk to you. You must have many doubts in your mind, but don't rush to ask. I have 3 knowledge inheritances here. If you accept them, you will understand your current situation. Sylph raised her palm and waved it gently, and 3 blue light groups quickly flew up. So fast. Augustus wanted to dodge, but the speed of these 3 light groups was too fast. It was so fast that he had no time to escape. Just when the light group flew in front of the dragon head, it stopped instantly. 3 light groups floated quietly in front of the 3 dragon heads. Looking at the ball of light in front of him, Augustus breathed a sigh of relief silently. How could you just accept this kind of inheritance with unknown origin? But in the situation in front of him, he seemed to have no choice. This old woman who looked like a girl, but actually lived for who knows how long, was so powerful that he hadn't even understood it yet. You can try to use your ability to judge. As if seeing August's hesitation, Sylph spoke again. Upon hearing the girl's words, Augustus's red vertical pupils condensed into a vertical line in an instant. How come? I obviously didn't use time revelation. How did this guy know? Looking into the girl's eyes, the girl's pupils are different from ordinary pupils. There are silver-white coils inside, one after another. This kind of gaze seems to be able to see through everything. Augustus looked away almost subconsciously. Damn it, just use it. Time enlightenment. This girl has no ill intentions toward you, and even has a special affection for you. She seems to have some expectations for you. Augustus was a little confused when he saw the revelation of time. Special favor? It was obviously the first time that I met this woman. So how could I have a crush on her and have some expectations? The red dragon's head was raised, and Augustus looked at the girl sitting on the chair again. Peep into time. The moment time peep was used, there was a sharp pain in the brain. It's backfired. This is the first time. Augustus figured out what was going on almost instantly. This woman controls a power that is not weaker than the level of time. You shouldn't use it on me. My strength level is much higher than yours. Feel sorry. Augustus apologized honestly. He was in a better situation than Long. He had to apologize when he should, otherwise it would be terrible if he got beaten instead. Sylph, who was sitting on the chair, nodded slightly, accepting the apology. After apologizing, August stretched out his dragon claw and directly touched the blue light group in front of him. When Angia next to her saw this scene, her blue vertical pupils condensed slightly. What August did was very irrational. He looked at the woman sitting on the chair, but they really had no choice. The blue dragon claw was raised and accepted the light group. The last remaining person, Kalea, looked at Augustus and then at Angia, then raised her round dragon head and hit the ball of light. The moment he received the light group, a lot of information poured in. It's all about wizards, wizard codes, wizard blood, and their wizard dragon mother who died on the way to advancement. A huge red dragon like a mountain appeared in his consciousness. The red dragon just stared at Augustus and did nothing, and seemed to have no intention of speaking. The presence or absence of the same aura on this red dragon made August understand that this dragon was his mother dragon. No conversation. After staring at each other for a while, the dragon mother raised the red dragon head, and her thick eyelids covered with thick red scales slowly closed. The mountain-like dragon body instantly disintegrated and turned into red light spots all over the sky. These red light spots did not dissipate, but all converged towards August's tiny dragon body. The moment the light point touched the dragon's body, August felt very comfortable as if he was soaking in a hot spring. There were two mini light spots, which also caused Augustus to look completely turned into a ball of red light. This scene probably lasted for a while before returning to normal. The thick eyelids covered with thick red scales slowly lifted up, revealing a pair of vertical pupils as red as lava. Augustus looked at the position where the dragon mother disappeared in front of him and spoke slowly. "Thank you." Chapter 94. What the dragon mother gave him was nothing else but the full activation of his bloodline abilities. Now his bloodline has been fully activated, with a total of 2 bloodline talents. The first bloodline talent is Super Magic, a bloodline talent that has been awakened long ago. It can use magic power at will to increase the upper limit of spellcasting. The second bloodline talent has just been activated, or it would be more appropriate to say that it is fully activated. With his ultra-limited body, the upper limit of his dragon body's growth has been greatly increased. Ordinary giant dragon species can only grow up to 100 meters, and with his ultra-limited body, he can reach the level of a dragon mother, the height of a mountain close to 10,000 meters high. Not only that, this improvement is all-round, including body size, magic power, strength, physique, elements, resistance. All aspects are improved. Augustus quietly stared at the location where the dragon mother disappeared. The mother of dragons has dissipated, and the dragon soul has reincarnated. To be honest, Augustus didn't feel much about the disappearance of the dragon mother. After all, they are just strange dragons with a blood relationship. If there is, it is just a little gratitude. This dragon mother opened his bloodline ability for him at the end of her dissipation. Without her transcendent body, it is not known how long it would take for him to recover independently. Okay, it's time to leave. The thick eyelids covered with fiery red scales slowly closed. When I opened my eyes again, I still saw the familiar hall. The girl was still sitting on the chair in front of the small round table. Although she looked like a girl, Augustus did not dare to treat this woman as a girl. There are 2 inheritances in the inheritance just now. One is about wizards. He, Kalea, and Angia all belong to the bloodline of wizard dragons, so the 3 of them are also part of the wizard civilization. This is a kind of belonging. The second one is the inheritance of the dragon mother, and this girl is able to interact with the dragon mother and gain the dragon mother's trust to become a caregiver. Her age is definitely not as simple as one can see from the outside. This is definitely an old woman of unknown age. Bang bang. The sound of 2 heavy objects falling sounded from both sides. The red vertical pupils quickly condensed. Augustus took 2 steps to the left and saw that Biful and Angia were already lying on the ground. "Don't worry, just let them sleep for a while," came a gentle voice. After all, the next words are not suitable for them to hear, and you don't want the secret of your time dragon bloodline to be exposed, do you? Listening to the steady breathing of the 2 dragons, Augustus instantly felt relieved. As for what the old woman said, he was not surprised at all. Although I don't know how the old woman found out, The fact that he is a time dragon has already been discovered by the old woman. The red dragon's head was raised, and its red vertical pupils looked at the old woman sitting on the chair. What do you want to talk to me about? I just have a question I want to ask. How far has your time blood returned to your ancestors? How many talents have you awakened? Damn old woman, these are obviously 2 questions. Less than 30%. I have only awakened 4 time talents. Is this so? A look of regret flashed in Sylph's eyes. The time has not come yet. I don't have a problem anymore. The girl sitting on the chair raised her white palm and waved it gently. Russell, Angia, and Kalea, who were lying on the ground, slowly raised their dragon bodies. Angia, who was holding up her dragon body, still had a vigilant look in her eyes, and Kalea next to her was still looking silly. Kalea approached August. Ogu, I feel like there are so many more things in my mind. It seemed that this white idiot had also accepted the wizard's inheritance. August stretched out his big paw and gently stroked Kalea's round dragon head. Well, it's okay, Kalea. Judging from the reactions, neither Angia nor Kalea seemed to know that they slept for a while longer. Okay, now that you have accepted the wizard's inheritance, you should also have an understanding of your own bloodline, right? The white cat spoke human words again, and his voice was still a gentle girl's voice. Angia nodded slightly, and Augustus nodded too. Kalea looked at Augustus and then at Angia, and then she also moved her round dragon head. Ouch, well, in that case let's calculate my custody fee. Hearing the old woman's words, Augustus' red vertical pupils quickly condensed. What happened? Didn't the mother of dragons pay this old woman a hiring fee? Not only Augustus, but also Angia's blue vertical eyes began to become uneasy after hearing this. If her dragon mother paid the guarding fee, there would be no problem, but she is just a baby dragon now. How could a baby dragon afford the hiring fee of at least a serial wizard? Only Kalea was still dumbfounded. The gaze in her bright vertical pupils was very clear. Don't be so surprised. Your dragon mothers all failed to advance on the path of sequence. When I accepted this commission, they all had only the last trace of their origins left. In that case, they naturally have nothing to offer, so the responsibility for this contract naturally falls on you, Augustus. So I started to be in debt the moment I was in the dragon egg, right? Of course, you can also pay in another way. For example, wizard qualification. Use your wizard qualifications to mortgage this debt. This is the only trading qualification you can get from me. But I don't recommend you do this, because once you lose your wizard qualifications, you can only become a low-level native of another plane. This is not a good deal. Debts are still qualifications. You can think about it carefully. I'm not in a hurry. After saying that, the white cat stopped talking, and the girl sitting on the chair reached out to pick up the teacup, brought it to her pink lips and sipped it gently. Her movements were graceful like a young lady. Debt or qualification? Just in an instant, Augustus felt that he already had the answer in his heart. This was simply a multiple-choice question that did not require a choice. It must be a debt. It is not that simple to become a wizard in the wizarding civilization. The entire wizarding civilization has trillions of intelligent species, but among these trillions of life forms, there are only tens of millions who can be called wizards. The rest are all it's a wizard's apprentice and an army of servants. The wizard apprentices are better, but the servant army is completely a slave serving the wizard. But these slaves also have the right of ownership and are the property of a certain wizard. Then there's the sorcerer's apprentice. Every 10 years, wizards will go to other planes to recruit a group of intelligent species with spellcasting talents, and these intelligent species will become apprentices in wizard academies. Of course, the wizards offer this advancement path not without cost. If the apprentice cannot accumulate the required credits within a 10-year semester, then he will become a new glorious servant. The future goes directly from bleak to stable. Chapter 95. Only one wizard can be inherited. It is also possible to be promoted to a wizard. If you advance to the rank and are recognized by the Wizards Association, then you are a new wizard. But just being promoted to the sequence can stop 99% of wizard apprentices. The path of sequence is not that easy to walk on. As pureblood wizards with wizard inheritance rights, they have no such concerns at all. The Wizard Academy will not have any requirements for them. They are completely free and have all the qualifications that wizard privileges can enjoy. Debt. The immature and indifferent Shotean spoke with firmness. Angia on the side glanced at Augustus with her peripheral vision and said 2 words lightly. Debt. Debt. Kalea's voice sounded almost at the same time. She didn't quite understand what August AO and the others were talking about, but it was definitely the right choice to follow August AO. Yes, In that case, let's finalize the contract first. Sylph put down the teacup in her hand and raised her fair little hand to wave. The transparent magic power flew to the 3 dragons and turned into a white leather scroll, on which dragon language words appeared. Let's take a look. If it's no problem, just sign your names. August's red dragon head moved slightly. Look, this kind of contract must be looked at carefully. The content of the contract is very concise. It probably means the amount of money owed, 100 million. A whole million. Looking at the row of zeros behind the one, August felt a little dizzy. 1 million wizarding civilization magic gold coins. Very good. I am a real uncle now. But fortunately, the old woman's goodwill didn't seem to be in vain. There was no limit on the return date in the contract, and there was no interest. After reading his contract, Augustus got in front of Byfool and read the contract. The content of the contract was exactly the same as his. After reading the contract, Augustus stretched out his paws toward Kalea. Ouch! Give me the paw. Ouch! Kalea put the chubby white dragon claw on the August dragon claw without any hesitation. Holding Byfool's chubby and fleshy paw, Augustus stretched out his right paw and lightly poked the white dragon's claw. The sharp claw directly pierced the white dragon's scales. The moment the dragon's scale was pierced, Kalea subconsciously pulled back, but there was no way her power could compare to August. Do not move, August scolded, and Kalea immediately calmed down obediently. The contraction just now was completely out of instinct. In fact, it didn't hurt at all for her to pierce a dragon's scale. He held Kalea's paw and pressed it directly on the contract. A drop of dragon's blood fell on the white leather roll. The leather scroll did not emit any light, but rolled up into a cylinder and flew back to the small round table in front of the girl. After finishing it for Kalea, Augustus also used his claws to poke out a dragon's scale on his claws and then pressed it towards the leather scroll. He only helped Byfool because he was stupid. As for Angia was smarter than him, so he didn't need to worry about it at all. 2 leather scrolls flew to the small round table in front of the girl one after another, and accumulated on it to form a small triangle. I have received the contract. Let's talk about another thing. Logically, I should have appeared when you broke out of your shell, but because I was conducting a potion experiment at the time, I missed the time. The white cat who spoke turned her head away at this time, staring at her owner silently. But immediately her body seemed to be controlled by something, and she stiffened little by little and turned her head to look at the 3 dragons again. This is my dereliction of duty as a caretaker, and I should compensate you. When Augustus heard the word compensation, his red eyes instantly spread with joy. He didn't want much, just offset the debt. If it's not half, no, a tenth would be fine. Sylph, whose eyes had been fixed on August, suddenly looked away and looked at Kalea. To be precise, it is the particularly conspicuous golden dragon scale on the forehead of Kalea's round dragon head. But you destroyed 2 of my pastures and took away one of my godheads, so this time it's offset. It is not the most restrictive godhead like the god of faith, but a law godhead, which should be earned with blood. But Augustus felt unhappy, because this piece of law godhead was swallowed up by the white fool. Neither he nor Angia got any. The moment she heard Sylph's words, Angia looked at Kalea. The calm inside the blue vertical pupils was broken, replaced by a look of disbelief. When did this idiot get the divine power? Why doesn't she know? How are you feeling? Sylph withdrew her gaze and looked at August again. Anyone can see that the 3 dragons were decided by Augustus. Although he felt at a loss, Augustus still had the upper hand. The red dragon head moved slightly. I don't think there's a problem. In this case, we have reached an agreement. A peaceful smile appeared on Sylph's little face, and then she raised her white hands again. 3 blue light groups floated in the little hand. The light ball floated in front of the 3 dragons and stopped like last time. The blue light dissipated, and the light group turned into 3 golden bracelets that were engraved with golden magic patterns and looked very magical. This thing is a gift from me to you. This bracelet has 2 functions. One is storage space, and the other is to reduce the size. Your body is too big for the wizarding city, which violates the wizarding code. In the city, both wizards and wizard apprentices must control their size within 5 meters. This exists in the wizard's inheritance, and what the old woman said is indeed correct. But time inspires me to leave you alone. The old woman did not lie, but she didn't finish her sentence. She left an aura in this bracelet of yours. This is a blessing that can be erased when you encounter difficulties. She would immediately feel the aura attached to the bracelet. For protection? Looking at the bracelet in front of him, Augustus couldn't figure out why this old woman had an inexplicable affection for him. How could you not want the free novice equipment? The strong dragon's claws stretched out, and the moment the claws touched the bracelet expanded directly and was placed on the strong dragon's claws. It can also be expanded and reduced at will. Yes, it seems that there will be no need to take off the bracelet in the future. Looking at the bracelet on the dragon's claw, the red vertical pupils showed a hint of satisfaction. The moment he put on the bracelet, Augustus felt the two functions of this bracelet. Chapter 96. Just like what the old woman said, the function of the bracelet is to store things and reduce the size. A thought came to my mind. The next second, the 20-meter-long fiery red dragon body began to shrink. It stopped after shrinking to 3 meters. The shrunken Augustus also looks a bit chubby, only 3 meters tall, and he looks very cute. But Augustus Binlong didn't notice this. Auguseo, why have you become so small? Seeing the round dragon head coming towards by Fool, Augustus directly raised his dragon claw and slapped it on the white dragon head. You also make me smaller. Ouch, Kalea groaned in frustration after being photographed, and then began to manipulate the bracelet to become smaller. Soon Kalea also shrank to about 3 meters. August glanced at Angia next to him and found that she had also shrunk in size. This doesn't feel right when looking at Augustus. Kalea has shrunk and is very round and cute. He can understand it. After all, she is already round. Why does this shrunken Angia look so cute? Although she is not round, her small and delicate appearance looks like a large moving puppet, especially her pair of blue vertical pupils. As beautiful and deep as a sapphire. Wait a minute, I'm not acting this cute now. The red dragon's head hung down, and Augustus looked at his much smaller paws and round belly. Forget it, there's no need to watch it. Sometimes curiosity doesn't have to be so important. He raised his head and looked at the old woman sitting on the chair in front of him. I always feel that something is not quite right about this old woman's eyes. I have already been reincarnated into a dragon. How come my relationship with the opposite S*X is still so good at this age? The white little hands placed under the table were intertwined together, and after looking at each other with red vertical pupils for a while, Sylph raised her palms and directly hugged her familiar into her arms, her palms smoothing the white cat's fur. Okay, do you have any more questions? There is none left. Augustus shook his head. He just wanted to leave this place as soon as possible. Dillies helped them open the portal. Meow, with a soft meow, silver threads condensed behind Augustus and the others. The threads gathered and intertwined, and soon a 5-meter-wide magic circle was constructed on the ground. A white light door rose in the center of the magic circle. This portal leads to the wizard's main plane, Terrarial. Since you have no problem, then leave. The voice was still gentle, but the meaning of the words was already very obvious. Angia picked up Kalea and walked straight into the portal without looking back. She didn't want to stay in this place for a moment longer. This feeling of being suppressed was not something she liked. But Kalea didn't seem to be willing to follow her just like that, and the round dragon head turned to look at August behind him. Kalea, follow Angia and go in first. The width of the light gate can only accommodate up to 2 dragons passing through at the same time, so Augustus is in no hurry. Ouch, Kalea obediently followed Angia into the light door. After Kalea and Angia walked into the portal, Augustus was ready to follow them. Wait a moment. A familiar gentle girl's voice came from behind. Augustus stopped his claws and turned to look at the old woman who was still sitting on the chair. I have another trading method. Do you want to try it? Can I be forgiven of debt? That's okay if you agree. A smile appeared on Sylph's face. I don't know why, but looking at this smile, Augustus felt well, it's not bad. I can only say it was a subtle premonition. I'm a little interested in the bloodline of the time dragon. Let's make a deal. Give me your bloodline, and I'll forgive you of the contract debt. The red vertical pupils quickly condensed into a thin line. The old woman's words were very straightforward. She just said that she would lay eggs with me. Sure enough, this old woman was thinking about my master's body. August shook the red dragon head twice quickly. No, I'm not an adult yet, so I can't do it yet, and I feel like I can still work hard on my own. Is that so? That's a shame. Seeing the clear regret in the old woman's eyes, Augustus' entire dragon body trembled slightly. Sorry. If nothing happens, I want to leave first. They are still waiting for me. Well, let's go. After receiving permission, Augustus turned around and ran towards the portal impatiently. The moment August entered the portal, the opened light door closed directly into a thin line and dissipated. You seem to have scared him. The sound came from the white cat's mouth, but it seemed to be another sound, with a little childishness and crispness. It's very different from the gentle girlish voice, so it's easy to distinguish. Well, it seems a bit. Why didn't you tell him that you liked him so much? It's not yet time for my fate and his to be intertwined. Can't you change your mysterious problem? This is not a mystery, this is destiny. Cats don't understand. Cats only know that if you want something, go for it. Things are not that simple. He is very wary of me now, so the time has not come yet. It would have been over if I had just said no. There was silence for a while, and then the cat spoke again. By the way, are you serious about what you just said? Are you really planning to lay eggs with him? The girl didn't speak, but her palms stroking the cat's fur paused, and she stared at her familiar. Being watched by Sylph like this, Dilly's obviously didn't react at first. What are you looking at the cat like? Say something. Slowly, Dilly's also reacted. The spreading round pupils condensed into vertical lines in an instant. Wait a minute. You're not planning on letting me lay eggs with that little dragon cub, are you? Sylph nodded silently. Yes, this was indeed her idea. Seeing Sylph nodding, Dilly's was instantly furious. I'm tens of thousands of years older than that little dragon cub. Age is not a problem for immortals, and he is a time dragon, worthy of your bloodline. In short, it doesn't work. I will ignore you. The white cat lying on the girl's lap jumped forward, and a white light door instantly opened in front of the white cat, allowing the white cat to jump in. Seeing Dilly's leave, Sylph didn't care. She was just a little temperamental. After 2 days, Dilly's anger subsided, and she came back on her own. Stand up from your chair. Okay, everything that needs to be dealt with is taken care of, and she can go back to sleep. He looked at the damaged floor. Recovery, the 2 words came out of the girl's mouth, and her voice was extremely gentle. But the moment the girl finished speaking, the cracks on the damaged floor began to heal, and soon the damaged floor returned to its original state. Chapter 97. Okay, everything that needs to be done is done, and you can go to bed again. Just when Sylph was about to turn around and leave, familiar spatial fluctuations came. Looking in front of him, a silver halo spread out in the air. A little kitten's head poked out of the circle of light. Sylph, tilt your head. Foo-foo. We seem to have forgotten something. Sylph, tilting your head? It seems we forgot to give the little dragon boy magic gold. Generally speaking, as a caretaker, she should give the 3 little dragons a sum of magic gold, at least so that the 3 little dragons have enough money to pay for the wizard college tuition. Pure-blood wizards have privileges, but they also lose some privileges. For example, unlike wizard apprentices, pure-blood wizards have to pay for themselves if they want to enter a wizard academy. A few hundred gold coins of magic gold coins are easy for a wizard to earn by refining a few bottles of potions, but for the 3 little dragons, an invisible magic thread extended out and wrapped around Dilly's paw pads. Dilly's had long been accustomed to the magic thread wrapped around it and didn't even look at it. It's okay. He is a time dragon after all. A few hundred gold coins shouldn't be a problem for him. A gentle girlish voice came from the white cat's mouth. But he is just a little dragon boy. Apart from the blood of time, he doesn't seem to know anything else. It's okay. I believe him. Dilly's. Very good. This guy Fufu is running away again. Go through the portal. What caught August's sight was a spacious square. There were figures of various alien races in the square: demons, orcs, suborcs, subelves, ogres, mountain giants. All kinds of alien races filled the square. It looks colorful. However, these alien races have one thing in common. That is, they all wear clothes and look very civilized and decent. The giant dragon species is a superior species, especially the 5-color dragons, and their reputation among the intelligent species is generally not very good. 3 5-color dragons suddenly appeared in the square: the most brutal red dragon, the violent blue dragon, and the savage white dragon. Even in a very crowded square, a circle immediately vacated with August 3rd as the center point. Augustus looked at these aliens quietly. This seems to be a large teleportation square. Behind the square are various towering wizard buildings. So are they catching up with wizard's entrance period? Wait, why do these wizard apprentices show fear to me? I don't eat randomly. The red vertical pupils quickly condensed, and a scent of jasmine came to his nostrils. Augustus turned his gaze to look at the white fool on the left. As expected, the white idiot was already drooling, and the crystal saliva was flowing all over the ground. The red dragon claw was raised and placed directly on Kalea's round dragon head. Feeling the familiar temperature, Kalea directly raised the round dragon head and looked at Augustus in confusion. Ouch! Kalea, these are not food. Since you have chosen the wizarding world, you naturally have to follow the rules here, but it seems that you need to teach this idiot well. It's okay for a pureblood wizard to kill some slaves, but at most he will lose money. For a wizard apprentice, unless it is through proper channels, even a pureblood wizard will be punished if he kills a wizard apprentice for no reason. Can't you eat it? Well, you can't eat it. After receiving August's confirmation, Kalea immediately showed a look of disappointment in her pair of bright white vertical pupils. Seeing by Fool's disappointment, Augustus directly stretched out his claws to take out one of the white mushrooms from by Fool's arms and stuffed it into the white dragon's kiss. If you're really hungry, eat this cushion first. Ouch! At this moment, a petite figure flew down from the sky. The figure is very small, only about the size of a thumb, with the appearance of a little boy, and a pair of colorful butterfly wings on its back. August recognized the little thing flying towards this direction at a glance. Goblins are a first-level dependent race that has signed a dependent contract with the Wizards Association. They have a status second only to pureblood wizards. They can be seen everywhere in the wizarding world, and they can be found in basically every industry. The little goblin flew and stopped in front of the three dragons. It stood in the air and performed a chest-caressing ceremony. Hello, I am the little goblin who is here to record your bloodlines. Please give me a drop of your blood. As he spoke, the ring on the little goblin's hand lit up with a flash of light, and a golden disc floated quietly in the air in front of it. Just put some blood on this, please. Time enlightenment. It is just a goblin responsible for completing the login process for pureblood wizards. After going through the revelation, Augustus directly stretched out the dragon claw, and a drop of red dragon blood fell directly on the disc. The disc lit up with a flash of red light, and the next second, a complex and profound magic pattern floated up from the disc. The magic pattern slowly fell on the red dragon claw and disappeared. Augustus knew this magic pattern, which was the word witch. Kalea and Angia also completed the registration one after another. Thank you to the three distinguished pureblood wizards for your cooperation. You must have just arrived in the wizarding world. If you don't know what to do yet, I suggest you find a place to stay first, and then go to the Wizarding Academy to register. After finishing speaking, the little goblin bowed again, then flapped its beautiful little wings like a butterfly and flew into the sky. Looking away from the little goblin who had flown away, August looked at Angia beside him. Do you have any ideas? Angia shook her head silently. Now that all three of their dragons' combined possessions couldn't produce even one magic gold coin, what could she do? We don't seem to have any money. The red vertical pupils quickly condensed. Yes, the three of them have no money. Where can they find a place to stay? And it seems that pureblood wizards need money to register in the academy. Why is this familiar feeling so similar to when I climbed out of the cave and saw the snowfield? Big head. Augustus and Angia looked at each other, and for a moment they really didn't know what to do. August, Angia, do you want to eat? Two big white mushrooms were handed to August and Angia. Kalea looked at the two dragons, blinking their bright white vertical pupils. These were the last two mushrooms she had left. The eyes that met each other looked at Kalea at the same time. Seeing the carefree look of this white fool, both Augustus and Angia were a little envious of this white fool for a moment. It's good to be a fool and don't have to think about anything, but you still have to eat. The blue dragon claws and red dragon claws stretched out to take the last mushroom and stuffed it into the dragon's kiss. Chapter 98. Eat all the big mushrooms stuffed into the dragon's kiss in 2 or 3 bites. Augustus stood up from the ground and looked around in an upright posture. Silver light kept lighting up in the square, and every time the silver light lit up, it meant that a new batch of wizard apprentices were coming. There are also little goblins busy above the square. They are responsible for guiding the wizard apprentices to the Wizard Academy. Looking at the busy scene in the square, August's pair of red vertical pupils condensed slightly. Well, I am indecisive when things happen. Time inspires me to leave you alone. Just like the little goblin said just now, you need a place to stay now. Go straight out of the teleportation square, then turn left and walk straight for 1,000 steps. You will find a suitable new home. Remember to keep an eye on Kalea. Do you like Kalea? Augustus tilted his head and looked at the white fool in front of him who was still sitting on the ground, but with a round dragon head looking around, looking like a silly girl from the country entering the city. Well, I really should take a good look at this idiot. It would be troublesome if this idiot ate something. Even the servant army would not be able to afford it and would have to pay for it. Now the three of them together can't even get a single magic gold coin. Kalea is up. We are leaving. Ouch! Kalea stood up obediently. August directly stretched out his paw and grabbed Kalea's chubby dragon claw. Angia, who was still sitting on the ground, stared at Augustus silently. Just now, Dachi was still looking confused, but now the confused look in his red vertical pupils had completely disappeared, as if all of a sudden the child has found the target. Did this Dachi really awaken some kind of precognitive ability? The dragon species does have a probability of awakening precognition talents, but the probability is very small and the restrictions are very high. At the lowest, it can only be used once a month. The blue vertical pupils were slightly condensed, so when facing the wizard just now, this big chip couldn't use his ability at all? Now, the ability to predict is used in this situation. Feeling the gaze from the side, Augustus turned his head and looked at Angia, who was still sitting on the ground but staring straight at him. Angia, why are you looking at me like that? If you want it, just tell me early. Augustus bent down slightly. His red dragon claw grasped Angia's left paw, and he pulled Angia up with a tug. Let's go. Let's find a place to stay first. Feeling the warmth coming from the red dragon's claws, Angia silently stopped withdrawing. Noticing this, Augustus cracked the dragon's kiss slightly. This Angia really had a hidden Tsundra attribute. Pulling one on the left and one on the right, Augustus started walking forward with his paws. Although it looks like a young dragon, the reputation of the five-color dragon is known to all intelligent species. Wherever the three dragons go, all the wizard apprentices will obediently get out of the way. Because there was no obstruction, Augustus pulled the two guys out of the square quickly. Walking out of the square, there is a T-intersection. The intersection is very spacious and there are big trees planted on both sides. These big trees exude a faint fragrance and seem to have the effect of concentration. Obviously, these are not ordinary trees. All apprentices go to the right. Augustus looked to the left, which was the direction he was told to go. Without any hesitation, Augustus directly opened his claws. 996,997,998,999, 1,000. August paused his claws. He looked at the open space in front of him. It was very open and wouldn't get wet, but this poor place was under a bridge pier. This bad revelation has become less and less able to play well recently. Last time, I asked him to deliver the goods directly to his door. This time, he directly asked me to live under the bridge pier. August saw there's a fish. Just then Kalea exclaimed. Then Augustus felt that his left claw was empty, and idiot by broke free. The chubby white dragon wings flapped, and Kalea dived towards the river under the bridge pier. Looking at the crystal-clear river, Augustus had already anticipated the outcome. Boom! The chubby white dragon body hit the river hard, but because the water flow was not deep enough, it was only less than 2 meters. Kalea directly launched a fish fry operation. Even after being hit hard by Kalea, the water flow was still clear, which was enough to show how good the water quality was. Ouch! Kalea shook the round dragon head, and then she saw a large fish with a white belly about 1 meter emerging from under her. The sparkling white vertical pupils instantly spread with joy. The chubby white claws stretched out to scoop up the big fish and lifted it up. August Ao, big fish Ao. Looking at the big fish swinging in its white claws and trying to struggle, August seemed to understand why the revelation gave this location. You can live there, there is food at the door, and the most important thing is that it doesn't cost any money. It really is a perfect place to stay. Kalea throws the fish to the shore and catches more. Ouch! With a flick of the chubby white dragon's claw, the big white fish turned into a parabola and was thrown ashore. Looking at the white fool milling around in the river below, Augustus silently looked at Angia beside him. Feeling Dachi's gaze looking over her, Angia said nothing, silently unfolded a pair of blue dragon wings and flew down, and joined in the fish-catching operation. Seeing that both guys were catching fish, Augustus was not idle either. The grilled fish operation began. He picked up a pile of pebbles from the river and piled them into a stove on the beach of the river. He summoned a miniature version of the flame spear and threw it into the stove. He opened up the fish and threw it directly on the cobblestones for roasting. After a feast of grilled fish, it was already dark. In the wizarding world there is day and night. The dark night sky is filled with stars, and the bright moon hangs quietly high. Augustus and Angia, who had eaten and drank enough, lay side by side on the pebbled river beach. Augustus glanced at the white fool who was still standing in the river catching fish, then looked away and continued to make plans for the future. Now that we have arrived in the wizarding world, we have a place to stay. The next step is to enroll, but there is a tuition fee for enrollment. Where can I get some gold coins? The Wizarding Academy is basically the core of the wizarding world, so this study is a must. But how to make money? This is the wizard plane, so it's definitely not possible for me to play this way. It's really embarrassing. Wow! Just at this moment, the sound of water flowing came, and Augustus glanced sadly. It was by Fool coming back, with 2 1-meter-long fish in her paws. Augustus stood up from the beach, stretched out his claws to take the big fish handed over by Kalea, and began to process it. Seeing August Ao grilling fish for herself, Kalea sat down directly next to the stove, with her chubby dragon claws spread out, and lying quietly inside was a black book, which she touched in the river. I touched it while fishing. Chapter 99. The round dragon head came closer. There are several big characters in the book. I don't know him. The bright white vertical pupils spread slightly. There's a magical aura on it, so I should be able to eat it. Tear. The sound of the pages being torn was particularly harsh on the quiet river beach. At least filtering out the sound of the river was indeed very harsh. Augustus, who was breaking the fish, paused when he heard the sound. The dragon's head was raised silently, and he looked at the white fool next to him. The sound came from here. Almost at the same moment, Angia also raised the blue dragon head and looked at Kalea. Ouch! Suddenly being watched by August Ao and Angia Ao, Kalea paused for a moment, chewed the white dragon kiss twice. Then her throat moved and swallowed the contents of the dragon kiss. The chubby right paw holding the book was raised. Do August Ao and Angia Ao want to eat too? There is a line of large characters on the black book cover. Mixed elements bonus magic potion formula. The red vertical pupils instantly condensed into a vertical line. The blue vertical pupils instantly condensed into a vertical line. Did this idiot just eat something? X2. Almost synchronized movements. Augustus and Angia arrived in front of Kalea in an instant, and the red dragon claw took the black book first. The red dragon head and the blue dragon head came together at this moment. August opened the page and saw the traces of 3 pages that had just been torn. The blue vertical pupils and the red vertical pupils looked at each other silently. The next second, Augustus and Angia stood beside Kalea, and Elong picked up a chubby white hind paw. Ouch! His vision was spinning, and he felt a huge dizziness in the next second. Ouch, 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 carrying Kalea. Both Angia and Augustus became red-eyed. This idiot had no idea what she had just eaten. This was their first pot of gold. In the wizarding world, every magic potion book is registered. The holder of the book is the owner of the potion formula. The 2% profit from the potion is the sales profit. Note that this is the 2% profit from all stores. Although I don't know why this book was fished out by Kalea, a lucky white idiot, in the river beach again. But the appearance of this book is definitely the first pot of gold for the 3 dragons. But now that this book has been destroyed by Kalea, it is no longer complete, and the corresponding certification has naturally become invalid. If you want to reobtain the certification, you can refine a mixed elemental potion that exceeds 30% of the recorded potency, and then you can become the new owner of this potion formula. This is the law of the jungle in the wizarding world. The best wins. Vomit it. Today, you idiot, you have to vomit it out completely. Oh, ooh, 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 ooh. After shaking for a long time, there was only a pool of crystal saliva on the river beach. After all, the digestive ability of their dragon species is definitely one of the best. Listening to Fool's pitiful cry, Augustus couldn't help but slowly stopped his claws and slowly let go of Fool. Kalea, who had regained her freedom, lay directly on the river beach, her bright white vertical pupils circling in her eye sockets. It is obviously impossible to let this white fool spit out the pages of the book. It is better to study whether the first 3 pages eaten by this white fool are some important parts. Generally speaking, the first 3 pages are the beginning, and the content is quite important. After looking into each other's eyes, Augustus lowered his head and opened the cover of the book. The words on the pages of the book are wizard runes, and these runes have long been included in the wizard inheritance received from the old woman. The above is about the use range of this bottle of mixed elemental addition potion. The following is the formula and refining method of the mixed potion. Materials: 5 basic elemental materials, neutralizing magic crystal, fairy spring water, piranha flower heart. Seeing this, Augustus silently glanced at the white fool who was still unconscious on the ground. It seems that I mistakenly blamed this idiot. The person who recorded this mixed element potion was an inkblot guy. The prequel alone took 3 pages. There was no rush to read the refining method, and the book in the dragon's claw was thrown directly into Angia's arms. After receiving the book handed over by Augustus, Angia immediately lay down on the spot and began to study the potion book she had picked up for free. Augustus walked back to the river beach and squatted down, stretched out his claws to pick up 2 fish, and silently continued the work of breaking them. I fainted for most of the day. Feeling less dizzy, the 2 large nostrils on Kalea's round white dragon head shrugged slightly. The diffused bright white vertical pupils were slightly condensed. It smells so good, it smells like grilled fish. The shiny white vertical pupils looked towards the stove. The fish grilled on the cobblestones looked already scorched with aroma. It looks delicious, but August? There was hesitation in the bright white vertical pupils, not wanting to feel dizzy. Seeing the hesitation in Kalea's bright vertical pupils, Augustus flipped over the grilled fish. In the past, this white idiot would definitely rush over as soon as he saw something to eat. Augustus. The strong dragon claw was raised and moved directly towards Kalea. Kalea stood upright, looking very alert, as if she was ready to run away at any time. Want me to come over? Well, come over and eat grilled fish. Don't you beat Long Ao? Don't beat the dragon. After hearing the words, don't beat the dragon, Kalea took her claws towards the stove. After walking to August Ao and making sure that August Ao would not beat up the dragon queen, Kalea sat down. The red dragon claw handed over a whole grilled fish. Eat. Ouch! Kalea stretched out a pair of white dragon claws and took the grilled fish. Looking at this white fool, Augustus raised his dragon head after pondering for a moment. Sorry, Kalea. It's okay, Augustus. Let me eat grilled fish. I'm happy. The childish and crisp lowly sound is mixed with innocence. Kalea held a grilled fish and happily gnawed on it. After a while, most of the round dragon head was covered with grease. This white idiot was getting cuter and cuter. Augustus split the dragon's kiss, raised his red dragon claws, and placed it directly on Kalea's round dragon head. Feeling the warmth coming from the big claws on the dragon's head, Kalea pushed the round dragon's head upward slightly. By the way, Kalea, next time you pick up something, be sure to show it to me first. Some things are not for eating. Can't you eat it? It's not that they are all inedible. It's just that some of them are not suitable for eating, such as the book just now. With this book, we can move to a nice big house. Big house? Kalea said she couldn't understand and cast an innocent look at August. It's a big house that can make a lot of delicious food. Then Kalea wants to live in a big house. Yeah, we will definitely live in a big house in the future, I promise you. But if I pick something up again... Kalea raised her fat right paw covered in grease. Show it to Augustus first. Chapter 100. I also learned to answer questions quickly, which is good. As a reward, Augustus handed the remaining grilled fish to Kalea. Looking at the grilled fish that was handed to her, Kalea hurriedly stuffed the remaining half of the grilled fish into the dragon's kiss. While chewing, she stretched out her chubby paws to take the grilled fish. Thank you, August. What a polite white fool. August stretched out his paw and stroked the round dragon's head a few times, wiping the grease off the dragon's claws. Well, it's time to go to sleep. Standing up, the dragon raised his head and looked towards the bridge hole, where he slept. By the way, Kalea, remember to wash in the river after eating? Ouch! After receiving the response, Augustus unfolded a pair of dragon wings and flew directly towards the bridge hole. Stopping at the bridge hole, the dragon body lay down on the spot. It's time to go to bed. As for the small money matter, it's night now. Even if you think about it, you can't do anything. It's better to wait until tomorrow. Yes, it is like that. My mind gradually relaxed, and my consciousness slowly sank. A wisp of red cloud appeared on the horizon of the dark night sky. The sun shines on the earth, dispelling some frost left by the night, and dewdrops appear on the green branches. The warm morning light shines under the bridge. Under the bridge, 3 little dragons, white, red, and blue, are close together. Feeling the warmth of the sun, Augustus slowly opened his eyes while lying on his stomach. The thick eyelids were raised, and the pink eye mask opened to reveal a pair of red vertical pupils like lava. Is it dawn yet? Raising the dragon's head, August subconsciously glanced to the left and right. Looking at the familiar figure, Augustus continued to look at the sun that had just risen. It's daybreak, so it's time to think about how to get some money. Staring at the morning sun with his red vertical pupils, he gradually became trance-like. Last night, Idiot Boy picked up a potion formula for nothing. This was indeed his first fortune, but if he wanted to realize it, he had to refine the potion. If you want to refine potions, a set of alchemy equipment is definitely necessary, as is a sealed and dust-free environment. In other words, I need a house. The red vertical pupils condensed slightly. August looked up and down at the bridge cave space. Well, it was very spacious. A room could be built on the spot. As for the material, the red dragon kiss had a slight crack. The trees on the road above are quite nice. Ready-made and free of charge. In fact, it's okay not to go to all that trouble. If you sell the formula at a low price, you should be able to pay for it. But Augustus doesn't want to do that. One is unsustainable development and the other is sustainable development. There's no choice at all. The red dragon claw was lifted up and placed on the head of a white and blue dragon, shaking it from side to side. It was time to tell these two guys to get up and work. As for the money to buy alchemy equipment and materials, Augustus couldn't help but think of the old men who set up stalls on the overpass in his previous life. I can tell fortunes, and I am a time dragon. I am not 100% accurate, but I am definitely better than those old men, right? This is the real deal. At this time, the dragon claw on the right fell directly to the ground. The red dragon head deflected, and he saw that Angia had woken up. Good morning, Angia. Angia. Morning. After receiving the response, Augustus looked at the white fool next to him. The white fool was still sleeping soundly. Obviously, a claw could not wake him up. The two claws stretched out together and directly held Kalea's round dragon head, and the dragon's body stood upright from the ground. Then, shake. Ouch, ouch, ouch. Kalea opened her eyes in just a few clicks, which was extremely efficient. Auguseo. The bright white vertical pupils looked at Augustus eagerly. Augustus has long been used to being looked at by this white fool like this. If he wants to show off his cuteness to shake Ye's dragon heart, this trick is out of date. Get up, it's time for us to work. Working. August put by fool on the ground first. Yes, work. You two follow me. After saying hello, Augustus walked directly in front. Angia glanced at by fool, and without saying anything, she followed August's back and took out her claws. Ouch, Kalea, who seemed to have broken out of her sleepiness after staying for a while, yelled twice and hurriedly followed. Russell, in the greenery on both sides of the road, 3 dragon heads of different colors, red, white, and blue, popped out together. Tap. At this time, a luxurious carriage drove over on the road. Seeing the carriage, Augustus silently extended his dragon claws and pressed them on the blue and white dragon heads on the left and right sides. The 3 dragon heads silently retracted into the grass. Tap. The carriage passed in front of us, and the sound of rolling wheels and the sound of horse hooves gradually became closer and farther away. Watching the carriage go away, 3 dragon heads poked out of the green belt again. Although this road is very spacious, there are actually no carriages coming and going. If they are traveling far away, most wizards will choose to use convenient teleportation magic. If this is not possible, they will also choose flying slaves. Because of convenience, carriages are generally antiques. On the carriage at this moment, a young girl in a dress sat upright, and next to her was a little subwork made with a big tail. Miss, those 3 little dragon cubs just looked so cute. The little maid's bright and pure eyes revealed a look of expectation. The big furry white tail behind him was swaying from side to side. Cute. You might not feel cute if you meet them in the Discord plane. Even the 5 color dragons will definitely not be able to defeat me. That's not necessarily Tina. They are not wizard apprentices. Looking at the dumb little maid in front of her, the girl stretched out her hand and caressed the triangular wolf ears on the top of the little maid's head. The furry feel still made her feel so relaxed. Like me, they are all pure-blood wizards. The lady's skills became more and more proficient. Enjoying the lady's touch, Tina narrowed her eyes slightly. But they look so poor. They have nothing but the shrinking ring. Maybe this is because of some special reason. But I'm not wrong. They do have pure-blood wizard certification. He is really a pure-blood wizard. Pure-blood wizards and wizard apprentices are completely different concepts, and Tina understands this. This is the first time I've seen such a poor pure-blood wizard, Tina muttered. The carriage has traveled far, and it's time to get down to business. This path is generally not visited by anyone and is suitable for doing serious business. Augustus looked at the big tree in front of him. He didn't know what kind of tree it was, but it looked very big. The trunk alone was more than 30 meters high, and the trunk was also very thick and 1 or 2 meters wide. Yes, it was both. It's a great building material.
Thanks for watching. You can find the next videos in the playlist linked in the info card, directly on my channel, or right here on the screen. And as always, if you have any feedback, feel free to share it in the comments too.